Chapter 996. The bloody battle ended with the participation of Purple Sky Venerable, Pill Venerable, Venerable Qian Xing, Venerable Weapon, and the Hall Master of Jade Hall, GMO. Other than the two martial venerables under the Devil Religion, whose auras were stronger than the 8-star Origin Talisman Master of the Divine Light Court, they were lucky enough to escape from the hands of the severely injured Mad Venerable and Jade Fairy. None of the thousands of experts of the Divine Light Court and the venerables of the Devil Religion were spared. Inside Dubhe Hall, blood flowed like a river and dyed the mountains red. This nourished the Phantom, the Beast Killer, the Evil Soul, and the Blood Vine Demon. When the battle ended, most of the remaining disciples of Dubhe Hall were drenched in blood. All the disciples grieved for the deaths of their fellow disciples. Their eyes were red, but they were also excited that they had killed all the invaders of the Divine Light Court. Lin Weiqi's fiery red dress was now drenched in blood and clung tightly to her body. Her delicate red lips were pale and dyed red by the blood, revealing a poignant beauty. What's the origin of the Devil Religion? The Divine Light Court is going to be completely destroyed. All the experts have been killed. The Hall Master of the Alioth Hall, 9 Lives Divine Minister GMO, seems to have broken through to the legendary martial domain realm. In the future, the strength of the 7 Stars Hall will rise to another level, and will be closer to the 9 great factions. The huge commotion in Dubhe Hall was like the end of the world. It attracted countless people to gather from afar. The Hall Master of Alioth Hall, the famous 9 Lives Venerable GMO, had stepped into the legendary martial domain realm. The experts of the Divine Light Court had all been killed, and the mysterious demonic cult had appeared. Soon after, the news spread from Spirit Realm. At dusk, the setting sun was as red as blood. In the Dubhe Hall, only Mad Venerable, Purple Sky Venerable, Venerable Weapon, and Du Xiaofu were present. Is this the disciple of Fourth Brother? He is indeed powerful. GMO looked at Du Xiaofu with a smile. He was known as the 9 Lives Venerable. He had already succeeded in Nirvana and stepped into the martial domain realm. Fifth Martial Uncle. Du Xiaofu saluted GMO. His face was pale, but with his abnormal body, he was not affected. No need to be so courteous, the 7 Stars Palace will have a successor in the future. The GMO official smiled. Divine Light Heavenly Venerable. Divine Light Venerable. Mad Venerable was furious and wanted was the Divine Light Court. The demonic cult and the Divine Light Court are in cahoots. The Divine Light Court is nothing to worry about, but we have to guard against the demonic cult. Before we figure out the demonic cult's real situation, now is not the time to deal with the Divine Light Court. Xiahou Fenglei, the Weapon Lord, frowned slightly. Although he was able to kill many of the invaders from the Divine Light Court and the Devil Cult this time, he looked worried instead of happy. Were to light were we? Weapon was venerable was clear, but his anger could not be quenched. Let the various palaces eliminate the forces of the Divine Light Court. I believe that the Divine Light Court will no longer have any power to resist. However, this is the headquarters of the Divine Light Court. We should be patient for the time being and make a decision after we figure out the actual situation of the demon cult, Fairy said. That is the only way. 9 Lives Venerable GMO nodded. He narrowed his eyes, and there seemed to be a space rippling in the depths of his eyes. He then said, the Devil Religion has been eyeing the 7-Star Hall for a long time. Now, we can be sure that it is Fourth Brother's 3,000 Quaking Thunder. They will not let it go. But this time, some of the experts of the Devil Cult who had stopped the 6th, 7th, and 3rd brothers were all killed. In addition, the Yin Thunder Elder was seriously injured, and the mysterious man also lost a doppelganger. The Divine Light Court should not be able to make any big moves in a short time. It is a pity that we know so little about the Devil Religion. Venerable Qian Xing sighed. Martial uncles, let me make a trip to the Ancient Heaven Sect. If the Ancient Heaven Sect has any information about the Devil Religion, I believe I should be able to ask a lot. Du Xiaofu pondered for a moment, then raised his head and said to Kuang Zun and the others. That is a good idea. Given your relationship with the ancient heaven sect, it should not be too difficult. Jade Fairy nodded. She had already known about the relationship between Du Xiaofu and the ancient heaven sect. Then let's find out the truth about the devil religion first. Kuang Zun also nodded, looked at Du Xiaofu, and then said, this time it is all thanks to you. Otherwise, the Imperial Pivot Hall would have suffered a greater loss. Hearing Kuang Zun's words, Jade Fairy, Purple Tianzuan and the others also looked at Du Xiaofu with some surprise. They naturally knew that Kuang Zun was referring to the hundreds of extraordinary young people brought by Du Xiaofu, who had caused a huge blow to the invaders of the Divine Light Court. Otherwise, even if the Imperial Pivot Hall was able to protect themselves in the end, they would have had to pay an irreparable price. With the eyesight of Purple Tianzuan and the others, they were naturally able to feel that the hundreds of young people were not simple. Apart from the demonic beasts and a few elders who were not simple, any one of the young people was a peerless existence in the entire central continent. The talent of the young people was enough to be compared with the top experts of the 9 great forces. Several of them were even better than the top experts of the younger generation of the 9 great forces. Purple Tianzuan, Pill Master and the others all knew what it meant if the young people all grew up in the future. They were also secretly shocked. Du Xiaofu replied to Kuang Zun, I am also a disciple of the 7-Star Hall. It is my duty. Xiaofu, the young people and demonic beasts around you have all been strengthened by the sacred body art, right? Weapon Master Xiahou Fenglei looked at Du Xiaofu with a smile. He was satisfied from the bottom of his heart with the disciple in front of him whom he had unintentionally taken in. Then, there was a slight doubt in his eyes as he asked Du Xiaofu, but I feel that the young people and demonic beasts around you, in addition to being strengthened by the sacred body art, seem to have obtained an even greater opportunity. Du Xiaofu was secretly moved by his master's insight. Then, he smiled and nodded, replying, Master's guess is right. Not only have they been strengthened by the sacred body art, but they have also been strengthened by the divine thunder. They have all been strengthened by the divine thunder from the sealed ancient land. Xiaofu boy, you are not fooling us, are you? Purple Tianzuan rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. Only 10 people had been strengthened by the divine thunder in the sealed ancient land for 30 years. Naturally, he would not believe that more than 100 people had been strengthened by the divine thunder. Yu Xianzi, Kuang Zun, 9 Lives Venerable and the others all looked at Du Xiaofu in doubt, waiting for Du Xiaofu's answer. Martial uncles and martial uncles, the divine lightning cauldron that sealed the ancient land is currently with me. Du Xiaofu smiled, knowing in his heart that even these elders would not believe him. Then, under several fluctuating gazes, the purple thunder cauldron in Du Xiaofu's palm flashed with a purple light. Boom! A destructive and overbearing aura suddenly filled the hall. Kuang Zun, 9 Lives Sovereign, Purple Heavenly Sovereign, and the others' eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Their gazes were like huge waves. Then, as if they were looking at an alien, they fixed their gazes on Du Xiaofu. Numerous figures suddenly stood up excitedly and surrounded Du Xiaofu. This is the Divine Thunder Cauldron. Weapon Venerable also stood up and looked at the purple thunder cauldron in Du Xiaofu's palm. He recognized that it was the divine thunder cauldron in the sealed ancient land. There was no mistake. This is the divine thunder cauldron, definitely the divine thunder cauldron. Purple Tianzuan trembled with excitement, his purple hair standing on end. Gulp, the 7 top experts swallowed their saliva and sucked in a breath of cold air. Ha ha ha, when the sealed ancient land appeared, the 9 great forces were looking for the divine thunder cauldron everywhere. Who would have thought that the divine thunder cauldron would fall into the hands of the 7-Star Hall? Fortunately, I did not look for it. Kuang Zun sucked in a breath of cold air and then burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that his qi and blood surged and affected his injuries. Some blood flowed out of his mouth, but he was still dancing with joy. Xiaofu, what's going on? Yu Xianzi asked Du Xiaofu. At this moment, her eyes were filled with astonishment. Du Xiaofu smiled. Naturally, he trusted his martial uncles and martial uncles. He then told Purple Tianzuan and the others about the situation. Xiaofu, if that's the case, the Divine Thunder Cauldron, also known as the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron, is also under your control. You can let everyone obtain the Divine Thunder Body Tempering. After hearing about Du Xiaofu's situation, Nine Lives Sovereign GMO looked at Du Xiaofu with unconcealable shock in his eyes. Du Xiaofu nodded and said to Nine Lives Sovereign GMO and the others, if martial uncles and martial uncles want to obtain the Divine Thunder Body Tempering, this junior can do it anytime. The Divine Thunder Body Tempering. Back then, only your master, Old Fifth, and Old Sixth had obtained it. The four of us did not have the chance to set foot on the lightning platform. This time, we naturally cannot miss it. Sovereign Qian Xing was not courteous and immediately nodded to Du Xiaofu. Back then, when the sealed ancient land opened, only Xiahou Feng Lei, Purple Tianzuan, and GMO stepped on the lightning platform and obtained the Divine Thunder Body Tempering. However, at that time, the seven of them had yet to establish the seven-star hall. Xiaofu, can the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron allow everyone to undergo the Divine Thunder Body Tempering? Pil Venerable's old face moved closer to Du Xiaofu's and asked with a mysterious expression. Of course. However, the younger the person, the better the effect. Du Xiaofu said. From the Eagle King's Gong Saber, Solitary Sword King, and Golden Condor King's Divine Thunder Body Tempering, he knew that the younger the person, the better the effect. My seven-star hall is going to prosper. Pil Venerable laughed excitedly. If all the young disciples of the seven-star hall were to undergo the Divine Thunder Body Tempering, then in time, the seven-star hall would be able to sweep through the central state. Xiaofu, you must keep the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron a secret. You must not leak the news. Weapon Venerable Xiahou Feng Lei instructed his beloved disciple. At this moment, his eyes were also trembling. However, Du Xiaofu also told Sovereign Kuang, Purple Tianzuan, Pil Venerable, and Sovereign Qian Xing about the ancient desolate space. Fuck. The seven super experts looked at each other. Their faces were filled with shock, ecstasy, and astonishment. It was indescribable. That night, no one knew that Kuang Zun and Yu Xianzi had entered the ancient desolate space to heal their wounds. As for Venerable Qian Xing and Venerated Pil, they excitedly entered Du Xiaofu's Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron to refine their bodies with divine lightning. Within a certain space within the ancient desolate space, Du Xiaofu and Weapon Venerable Xiahou Feng Lei silently appeared. Chapter 997. In the space, various formations and beasts emerged endlessly, trapping a figure within. He was already exhausted, but he could not break free no matter how hard he tried. This person seems to be Yunguang Sage from the Divine Light Court. He is also a famous expert with the cultivation of a transcendent martial venerable. He is not bad, but he is limited by his natural talent. I'm afraid that he will not have a great opportunity in the future. Of course, he will not have a chance to break through. Looking at the figure trapped by the formations and beasts, the weapon master smiled at Du Xiaofu and said, "You have to be careful on your way to the ancient heaven sect. The devil religion has its eyes on us, so they will not let it go. I have been binding the soul of the murderous weapon for thousands of years, but I have also comprehended something. I feel that the nirvana stage is about to be completed, so I need to go into seclusion for a period of time to comprehend and try to break through. I can't accompany you to the ancient heaven sect, but I will give you something to protect you. You can comprehend it later." After a while, in the misty space of the barren ancient space, the pitiful Yunguang sage was restrained. He looked at the weapon master Xiahou Feng Lei and Du Xiaofu in fear, but his voice was also restrained and he could not make a sound. Apart from the secret soldier secrets and the sacred body secrets, I also learned the art of puppetry. It originated from an ancient book that I accidentally obtained, but it was only an incomplete book. Even so, the art of puppetry is amazing. I have comprehended it for hundreds of years and have made some progress in it, the weapon master said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu stood still and listened respectfully. Of course, he knew that his master, the revered tool master, was famous throughout the Central Plains. Back then, the One Valley, 2 sects, and the other 9 forces tried their best to rope in the weapon master. Apart from the secret soldier secrets and the sacred body secrets, the weapon master's art of puppetry was also an important reason why the 9 forces valued him. Later, Du Xiaofu obtained the inheritance left behind by his master, the venerable weapon. He also passed the puppet technique to the king of medicine, Yi Wuming, and Gu Zhangyu. Even Gu Zong and the others dabbled in it. Not long ago, Du Xiaofu learned from Gu Zong that Gu Zhangyu had been fiddling with puppet techniques in the ancient Sky sect. He seemed to have gained a small reputation, and even the entire ancient Sky sect thought highly of him. Xiahou Fenglei looked at Du Xiaofu and continued, there are many types of puppet arts. One of them saves the most materials, but it's also the cruelest. It has extremely strict requirements on the power of the soul of the refiner. Master, what kind of puppet refining technique is that? This method of refining puppets, which saved the most materials, immediately attracted Du Xiaofu's attention. It should be known that the materials required to refine a high-level puppet were extraordinarily expensive, enough to bankrupt an ordinary person. It's best if it's a living cultivator, but it's much worse if it's a corpse. In addition, it's best if it's a martial cultivator. If it's refined successfully, it can increase its strength when it was alive, and its power will be much greater than when it was alive. Xiahou Fenglei smiled and glanced at the terrified Yunguang Venerable. He continued to speak to Du Xiaofu. Back then, I had a sudden idea to merge the secret soldier art and the saint body art into the puppet. I found that it was as I expected. It can make the puppet even more powerful, and its power can increase even more. Later, you can observe and comprehend it. Perhaps it will be of great use to you in the future. After he spoke, a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron suddenly condensed in front of Xiahou Fenglei. The 5-colored spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron rippled with power, and its aura caused the blurred space to tremble. Then, the weapon venerable took out a lot of refining materials from his cosmos bag and threw them into the spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron to refine them into boiling liquid. From time to time, he would explain to Du Xiaofu all kinds of knowledge about refining puppets. For example, when refining puppets with living people as the main material, the stronger the cultivation of the person being refined, the more powerful the puppet would be in the end. Refining puppets with living people as the main material also required a lot of supplementary materials. However, compared to refining other puppets, it was already the most efficient way to save materials. The effects of the refining were also extremely extraordinary. Du Xiaofu didn't dare to be careless. He carefully memorized all kinds of knowledge about refining puppets. Although he always had the knowledge of his master, Du Xiaofu, in reality, didn't have much comprehension in the art of puppets. Du Xiaofu had already spent all his time on the comprehension of various profound meanings, the pulse spirit, the mysterious move, the secret soldier secrets, and the divine body secrets. He really didn't have much time to comprehend the art of puppets. However, Du Xiaofu definitely didn't underestimate the art of puppets. Puppets had a lot of status in this world, and the materials used to refine them were also very valuable. A puppet that could compete with a pulsating realm cultivator was very valuable. It was enough to bankrupt an ordinary family in a small city. And a puppet that could compete with a pulsating spiritual realm cultivator was even more valuable. It couldn't be exchanged for with a spiritual grade elixir. Puppets were special. They were absolutely loyal to their masters and would never betray them. Therefore, many families and forces liked to buy puppets to follow them around. However, these puppets were often priceless. Weapon talisman masters were rare in this world, and weapon talisman masters who could refine puppets were even rarer. It was not an easy task to buy a puppet. Some experts liked to buy puppets to follow them around. When they met a strong enemy, they would be the most loyal helpers. However, there weren't many puppets in this world. They were so rare that they were priceless. The more powerful the puppet was, the rarer it was. Although the price of those powerful puppets was terrifyingly high, it was still something that people couldn't ask for more. In just a dozen hours, the weapon revered had refined a large pile of refining materials. Du Xiaofu also gained a lot of knowledge about puppets. Now it's time for the second step. Refine the impurities in the human body and strengthen the body. If you integrate it with the divine body secrets, the effect will be even stronger. Venerable Weapon smiled and glanced at Yun Guang Venerable, who had been restrained, intentionally or unintentionally. At this moment, Yun Guang Venerable seemed to have felt something. Fear grew in the depths of his heart, and his soul trembled. He didn't even have the strength to struggle. In the end, Yun Guang Venerable was thrown into the spiritual stove symbol tripod, which was overflowing with flames, by the weapon revered Xiahou Feng Lei. Ah! A miserable wail was emitted from Yun Guang Reverend's mouth. That miserable wail caused everyone who heard it to suck in a breath of cold air as their hair stood on end. On Yun Guang Venerable's body, his clothes were immediately burned clean. His skin exploded and his flesh was badly mutilated. After being burned by the flames, his white bones were exposed. However, all of this was controlled under a certain temperature. It only burned out the impurities in Yun Guang Venerable, but didn't completely destroy his vitality. It was just that the degree of misery was like living hell. It wasn't something that an ordinary person could bear. However, everything was restricted. Yun Guang Venerable couldn't die even if he wanted to. That kind of misery went deep into his bones and soul, making people shudder. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu wasn't interested in Yun Guang Venerable's miserable howl, but in the flames inside his master's spiritual stove symbol tripod. It was accompanied by a kind of flame-like thunder and lightning, which was extremely mysterious. Du Xiaofu could feel that the thunder and lightning wasn't the mystery of thunder and lightning, but a kind of living thunder, an extremely mysterious living thunder. The thunder and lightning seemed to have its own intelligence and formed its own life. What made Du Xiaofu even more shocked was that his thunder martial vein seemed to be extremely interested in the thunder and lightning on his master's body. It was restless, as if it wanted to rush out of his body. It felt like Du Xiaoyao had seen a spiritual medicine and a spiritual weapon. If he hadn't been suppressing it, Du Xiaofu felt that his thunder martial vein would have rushed out of his body and rushed towards the thunder and lightning on his master's body. This is your master's 3,000 repelling thunder, a kind of spiritual thunder. Seeing Du Xiaofu's interest and doubts, the venerable tool explained to Du Xiaofu. What is spiritual thunder? Du Xiaofu asked. He had heard about the 3,000 repelling thunder from the mysterious figure in the battle. Spiritual thunder is a kind of foreign object in this world. It's born between heaven and earth, and it's extremely difficult to catch. If you want to subdue it, it's even more difficult. The venerable tool said to Du Xiaofu, the 3,000 repelling thunder in your master's body comes from heaven and earth, and it's born in the Tao of water and fire. It's a kind of spiritual thunder that I happened to encounter a volcanic eruption in a thunderstorm. Because it happened to be born, I was able to merge it into my soul. But even when it was born, your master had a narrow escape, and finally succeeded by a fluke. Because of this, I got great benefits and countless wonderful uses. Even if you merge the 3,000 repelling thunder into a spiritual furnace and a talisman tripod, it'll be twice the result with half the effort in refining elixirs and puppets, and it can also improve the quality. There's such a foreign object in this world. Du Xiaofu was extremely surprised. Then his eyes moved, and he asked his master, is there a lot of spiritual thunder in this world? Spiritual thunder is very rare. It's a kind of foreign object in this world. The venerable tool smiled, and then said, but although it's rare, the world is so vast that a certain amount of spiritual thunder has been born in countless years. I've heard that people in other prefectures have also gotten spiritual thunder. Even in the central prefecture, there's a powerhouse from the immeasurable sect and a powerhouse from the sky snake sect. They all have a kind of spiritual thunder. Chapter 998. Du Xiaofu thought for a while and said to his master, "So the devil religion has been looking for master's primordial spirit for the 3,000 repelling thunders in master's primordial spirit. Why does the devil religion need the spirit thunder? With the mysterious origin of the devil religion, if they only want the benefits of the spirit thunder, they wouldn't search for master's primordial spirit for thousands of years. Thousands of years should be enough for them to find other spirit thunders." Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the weapon master sighed and said, "Your analysis is correct. However, I'm afraid you need to go to the ancient heavens sect and ask about the devil religion's real purpose. I hope the ancient heavens sect has some information about the devil religion. Otherwise, we will always be in the light while the enemy is in the dark. This is not a good thing. I will go to the ancient heavens sect as soon as possible." Du Xiaofu nodded and said. Yunguang Knight's miserable cries became weaker and weaker as the impurities in his body were constantly refined. Weapon Master Xiahou Fenglei was also using the divine body art to refine his body. His organs, bones, muscles, limbs, and bones were all refined repeatedly to make his body stronger. When Yunguang Venerable's physical body was sufficiently pure, Weapon Venerable began the next step. He poured the boiling refining material solution that had been refined onto Yunguang Venerable's body. Yunguang Venerable's blood-curdling screams, which had already stopped, rang out once again in a bone-chilling manner. The boiling solution covered Yunguang Knight's body, which was covered with a cold metallic color. The weapon master's hand seals changed and he used the secret soldier art to set up a protection charm array and attack beast energy ultimacy on Yunguang Knight's body. Du Xiaofu was surprised by this scene. He was deeply immersed in comprehending and was afraid that he would miss this opportunity. The last step was for Weapon Master Xiahou Fenglei to refine Yunguang Knight's primordial spirit and erase his memories. Then, he would place a soul imprint of the controller to control it, turning it into a puppet. As for this step, it was also the most difficult step. It required extremely stringent requirements for the refiner's Yuan spirit strength, as well as talent. If he failed, all his previous efforts would be for naught. But at this time, the venerable weapon was refining. So, everything was naturally very easy. From time to time, he would explain to Du Xiaofu the things to pay attention to. Boom! When everything was done, the Cloud Light Venerable's metallic body inside the Venerable Equipment spiritual cauldron was covered by runes. He seemed to have regained his vitality. His aura was even more exuberant and cold. Hula 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 ha. In the surrounding space, the energy of heaven and earth gathered around his body, making his aura even stronger. At that very moment, Premier Cloudlight's aura was constantly rising. His fleshly body had long since been remodeled, removing all the impurities within it and tempering it over and over again. It was now even tougher than a Tao artifact. Rumble, as his terrifying aura rose, Premier Cloudlight's metallic body crackled. That was the sound of his limbs and bones resonating with the energy of heaven and earth, turning into a sonorous melody. The runes on his metallic body shone brightly. It was as if everything in his body was shaking and devouring energy. Even the cells and bones in the deepest part of his body were experiencing such an increase. That puppet's body is becoming stronger. Du Xiaofu was surprised. Premier Cloudlight's aura, which was originally a transcendent martial venerable, was rising continuously. His entire body was shining, just like a demon's body. When everything stopped, Premier Cloudlight's fleshly body was like a demon's body, but it gave off a sense of perfection. At that moment, Premier Cloudlight's body seemed to have come from the demon world, from the 9 underworlds. There was not a trace of impurities in his body. His body was covered in runes and dazzling runes. He had become extremely strong, but his eyes were empty and lost, as if he had lost his soul. The peak of transcendent martial venerable is, after all, just a puppet. It is difficult for him to enter the chaotic essence realm. He needs to comprehend it. The weapon venerable looked a little regretful, but then he smiled and said to Du Xiaofu, "Xiaofu, my disciple, the puppet has been completed. Place one of your soul imprints in the primordial spirit of this puppet and it will be done. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu formed a seal with his hands. A soul imprint began to be placed in the puppet's mind. It would take some time to place a soul imprint, but it was not difficult for Du Xiaofu at that moment. As Du Xiaofu's final hand seal was condensed, the soul imprint was successfully set up. The puppet's soulless and confused eyes began to emit a faintly discernible vitality, as if it had a life of its own and was no longer a simple dead object. Master. The puppet opened its mouth and looked at Du Xiaofu respectfully. Its voice was emotionless and fierce, and there was only absolute loyalty. Du Xiaofu looked at the puppet in front of him. As the soul imprint was placed, it seemed that he had an invisible and direct connection with the puppet. He could control this terrifying puppet. Punch me with half of your strength. Du Xiaofu said to the puppet. At the same time, he secretly controlled the puppet with his mind. He wanted to test the puppet's strength. Boom! Without hesitation, the puppet attacked fiercely. Its fist was wrapped in runes, as if it wanted to shatter the space. It suddenly fell on Du Xiaofu's chest. Bang! As the puppet's fist landed, Du Xiaofu's body flew backwards within this misty space. Finally, he smashed onto the ground with a loud bang. He was hit until his head was dizzy and his face was pale. A muffled groan was emitted from his throat. Xiaofu, are you okay? Weapon revered Xiahou Fenglei put away his spiritual furnace and talisman cauldron. Looking at his disciple, he could only sigh. How could he test a puppet like that? However, the weapon revered was secretly shocked by Du Xiaofu's physical strength. Just now, with half of the puppet's strength, even a mysterious martial saint would be blasted into a bloody mist, or at least be crippled. However, Du Xiaofu didn't seem to be affected. This kind of defense was simply abnormal. It was even more terrifying than the puppets. How could one cultivate such an abnormal physical body? I'm fine. Du Xiaofu got up. His face was pale, but he looked very happy. With such a terrifying puppet, Du Xiaofu was confident that he wouldn't be afraid of extraordinary martial revered realm experts in the future. Even if he encountered a Nirvana martial revered realm expert, he was afraid that the puppet's defensive strength could delay him. It's good that you're fine. Although your physical body is strong, you have to be careful. You can't try everything, weapon revered Xiahou Fenglei could only helplessly warn his beloved disciple. In the future, I'll call you Yun Jian. Du Xiaofu said happily to the puppet. At present, the puppet was his strongest trump card. Puppets, weapons, etc., are all external forces. If you want to become a true expert, you have to rely on yourself. Only when you're strong can you be a true expert. Weapon revered said to Du Xiaofu seriously. Disciple understands. Thank you for your warning, master. Du Xiaofu bowed. Du Xiaofu had always understood what his master weapon revered had said. Whether it was a powerful weapon, a puppet, or a backer, all of them were external forces. Only when one was strong could they be considered truly strong. True strength was reflected in one's own body. There was no end to being an expert. In the desolate ancient space, Weapon Revered spent more than 10 days refining the peak extraordinary martial revered level puppet. Kuang Zun and Yu Xianzi had also recovered from their injuries in the desolate ancient space. In the end, they were also sent into the purple lightning profound cauldron by Du Xiaofu to receive the divine thunder body tempering. After packing up, Du Xiaofu and Weapon Revered left the desolate ancient space to check on the situation in the divine pivot hall. At this time, there were no experts in Dubhe Hall. Even Lin Weiqi and some other extraordinary juniors and experts in Dubhe Hall had followed Venerable Pil and Venerable Qian Xing into the purple lightning profound cauldron to receive divine thunder body tempering. Purple Sky Venerable and Nine Lives Venerable GMO also had to help patrol the various halls and arrange to eliminate some forces that were against the Divine Light Court. Therefore, they were not in the Divine Pivot Hall. After Weapon Revered and Du Xiaofu left the desolate ancient space, they received news that Granny Silver Flower, who claimed to be from the Dark Forest, had asked to see Weapon Revered and young master. Granny Silver Flower. Du Xiaofu was surprised. She was an expert who had been guarding the Dark Forest and had helped him several times. Back then, he had obtained the purple gold heavenly palace because of an opportunity given by Granny Silver Flower. In the main hall, Granny Silver Flower came in with a young boy. Granny Silver Flower had a head full of white hair and seemed to be staggering, but she was an expert at the peak of the martial royal realm. Greetings, Master. When Granny Silver Flower saw Weapon Revered, she seemed to recognize him at a glance and bowed respectfully. What's going on? Seeing this scene, Du Xiaofu was suddenly surprised and looked at his master Weapon Revered in surprise. He could not understand what was going on. You are her disciple, right? Get up, there's no need to be so polite. After so many years, she must have died. Weapon Revered signaled Granny Silver Flower to get up and sighed. There was even a touch of sadness in the depths of his eyes. Later, Du Xiaofu learned from his master Weapon Revered that when his primordial spirit of his master Weapon Revered fled to the Dark Forest, there was a loyal registered female disciple who followed him. She was a dual cultivator of martial arts and talisman Taoism. Although she was only a registered disciple, she could be considered as his senior sister. As a precaution, after Weapon Revered arranged everything, he asked the female disciple to guard the Dark Forest and look for a suitable fated person. As time passed, hundreds of years later, before the female disciple's oil lamp ran dry, she took in another disciple and continued to guard everything in the Dark Forest. She also continued to look for a suitable fated person at a suitable time. The little boy next to Granny Silver Flower was now 16 or 17 years old. He looked innocent and ethereal, and he was smiling at Du Xiaofu. He still remembered Du Xiaofu and the beautiful sister he had met in the Dark City. This child has a good foundation. Suddenly, Weapon Revered looked at the little boy. There was a slight fluctuation in his eyes, as if he had found a piece of unpolished jade. Grandmaster, I picked him up. He has no parents since he was young and is very pitiful. However, his heart is pure and he has some talent. Over the years, I have secretly laid a good foundation for him, but I am afraid that I can't train him, so I haven't taught him much, Granny Silver Flower said to Weapon Revered. Weapon Revered smiled and said, this child's talent is good, but he is not suitable for me. He should be more suitable for fifth brother. 3 days later, Alchemy Master, Venerable Qian Xing, Kuang Zun, Yu Xianzi, and Lin Weiqi all came out of the Purple Thunder profound cauldron in the ancient desolate space. Everyone was very excited, and their strength had greatly increased. Lin Weiqi and many others' cultivations had easily improved, and their martial veins and spiritual roots had improved a lot. However, for Kuang Zun, Yu Xianzi, and the others, it was difficult for them to improve their strength by relying on the divine thunder refining body. Chapter 999. The next morning, the first ray of sunlight shone from the horizon. Hundreds of figures soared into the sky and left on a gigantic black tiger. Whoosh whoosh. In the calm sky, a golden black ray of light swept over from afar. Then, it brought along a wave of clouds and waves in the sky, leaving behind a long trail. Finally, it quietly disappeared above the firmament. Xiaofu, we have something to discuss with you. It's about the Dark Nether sect. Du Xiaoman came to Du Xiaofu's side on the little tiger's back. The aura emitting from her sexy body was completely different from before. Behind Du Xiaoman, the general of Tianwu Academy, Gu Xinyan, Li Yuxiao, Sun Ji, Zhang Lu, Wu Kei, and the others all stood and looked at Du Xiaofu. Dark Nether sect. When Du Xiaofu heard this, his eyes turned cold. How could he forget about the blood feud with Tianwu Academy? Back then, it was the Dark Nether sect that massacred Tianwu Academy. It was a blood debt. In the end, he heard that it was the experts Qi Yeshi brought that scared away Blood Demon and the old man of the Dark Nether sect. We found out that the Dark Nether sect's base is not far from Spirit Realm. This time, we want to make a trip to the Dark Nether sect's base. It's time to repay the blood debt of Tianwu Academy, the general said to Du Xiaofu. They didn't want to wait any longer to repay the Academy's blood debt. Now that they had grown stronger, they wouldn't be any weaker than the Dark Nether sect. The blood debt had to be repaid. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. It's time to tell the world that Tianwu Academy still exists. Du Xiaofu said softly. Coldness surged in his clear eyes. The Dark Cliff mountain range was a famous mountain range in the central province. The Dark Nether sect was stationed here. The Dark Nether sect was only a third-rate force in the central province. There were many such forces in the central province. Sometimes, these third-rate forces would appear today and be destroyed the next day. This wasn't a rare occurrence in the central province. However, the Dark Nether sect had existed for a long time and was slowly expanding. Rumor had it that many second-rate forces that wanted to take over the Dark Nether sect were annihilated in the end. Due to this, not many people dared to stand in the way of the Dark Nether sect. Walala, at dusk, above the peaceful Ming Tua mountain range, a storm came whistling. Then, it appeared above the Ming Tua mountain range at lightning speed. It was a terrifying huge black tiger. Who dares to trespass into my Dark Nether sect? Within the mountain range, a dozen figures rushed out, their auras cold and sharp. However, the figures that had just rushed out felt the frightening and ferocious aura of the huge black tiger that occupied the sky. They immediately trembled in fear and their bodies almost fell from the sky. Chi la la, the giant black tiger flapped its wings and turned into a storm. More than 10 figures were destroyed in mid-air, turning into a bloody mist. Not good. Someone is invading. Quickly activate the sect protecting formation. Within the mountain range, countless figures rushed out of the large buildings in a panic, covering the sky and covering the earth. Someone shouted. Then, with a rumbling sound, a powerful talisman array was activated and set up in the sky. Chi La, on top of the huge black tiger, a purple-clad young man waved his hand. A dazzling talisman appeared in his palm and landed on the talisman array at lightning speed. Chi la la, the powerful talisman array disappeared with a strange sound as the talisman energy landed on it. It turned into broken talismans and exploded in the sky above the Ming Tua mountain range. Thousands of Dark Nether sect's disciples appeared in mid-air and on the ground. Their eyes were filled with fear as they stared at the huge black tiger in the sky. Who dares to invade my Dark Nether sect? As the cold voice rang out, a scarlet aura appeared in the surroundings. It was as though a sea of blood was spreading out. An extremely evil and bloody aura descended. It made people feel as though the blood in their bodies was boiling. It was as though something terrifying was about to suck away the boiling blood in their bodies. He's actually just become a martial venerable. When Du Xiaofu sensed the evil and bloody aura, a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. Third young master, leave this person to me and Phantom. He'll be of great help to us. The blood vine demon looked at the aura in the sky that resembled a sea of blood. It licked its lips with greed in its eyes. I'll deal with this person personally. Du Xiaofu said. His clear eyes glowed with a golden light. Who dares trespass into my Dark Nether sect? More than 10 figures flew out from the sea of blood. There were 3 martial monarchs and 10 martial kings. The one in the lead was a cold old man. His aura was the strongest. He was a martial monarch at the peak of the Nirvana realm. Old man Yin Ming. The general, Du Xiaoman, Gu Xinyan, Li Yuxiao, and the others held their talisman tools and Dao tools tightly. Their eyes were red and filled with killing intent. The cold old man was the old man Yin Ming who had started a massacre in Tianwu Academy back then. Kill. The general, Du Xiaoman, Ghost Child, Wu Kei, Li Yuxiao, Guo Xiaofeng, and the other Tianwu Academy disciples did not waste any time. They immediately flew out from the little tiger's back. Waves of terrifying killing intent swept across the sky. Wash Ming Tua mountain with blood. Du Xiaofu said coldly as he looked at the sea of blood in the sky. TSK, there's more nourishment. Shou Sha, Blood Vine Demon, Hun Xia, Phantom, and the others flew out at lightning speed. Their speed was much faster than the general and the others. Don't leave a single one alive. Eagle King, Gong Dao, Solitary Sword King, and the mysterious Dragon King were not merciful. They did not stay idle either. They laughed and charged out. Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, Yin Hu, Shi Tu, Duo Sha, and the other heavenly generals flew out. Their killing intent shrouded the entire mountain range. Ah, oh no, why are there so many martial monarchs? They're from Tianwu Academy. There are martial monarchs as well. Run! Quick! In just a short moment, screams of agony, fear, and shock converged together. Deep sonic booms echoed throughout the mountain range. How could the Dark Nether sect's disciples be a match for this group of terrifying people? It was as if tigers and wolves had charged into a flock of sheep. They could not even put up a fight. In just a short moment, blood flowed like a river in the Dark Nether sect. It was a tragic sight. Regardless of whether it was the Tianwu Academy's disciples or the World Society's disciples, none of them showed any mercy. The sea of blood spread out from above. A pair of blood-red eyes could be seen in the sea of blood. They were like red stars that were looking down at the world. It was extremely terrifying. The sea of blood rippled. However, it seemed to have sensed something. Fear appeared in the blood-red eyes, and it began to retreat. You want to run? It's too late. Du Xiaofu made his move. His figure soared into the sky as golden light spread out. A golden energy swept across the sky and turned into a golden claw print that seemed to be tearing the space apart. The golden claw print caused the entire mountain range to freeze in an instant. Then, it collided with the sea of blood. Walala, when the golden claw print landed, the sea of blood was immediately torn apart. It was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. A large area of space could be seen cracking and shattering. Pfft! In the sea of blood, a blood-red figure fell from mid-air with a bloody mist. He fell heavily from mid-air. Pfft! Subsequently, the blood-red figure quickly got up and soared into the sky. The first thing he wanted to do was to escape. Pfft! A purple-robed figure appeared and blocked the blood-red figure's path like a ghost. He threw a punch that exploded with golden light and sent the blood-red figure crashing down again. Rumble. The blood-red figure charged into the mountain peak and destroyed the peak. The surrounding rocks exploded, and the mountain cracked. Blood spurted out of his mouth continuously. The blood-red figure was a burly man who looked to be in his 40s. He had a slender figure and could be considered handsome. He wore a blood-red robe, and a red glow could be seen deep in his eyes. However, at this moment, his aura was weak, and fear could be seen in his eyes. The burly man struggled to get up, but he could no longer get up. His opponent's punch had severely injured him to the point where he could no longer escape. He was the only one who knew how powerful that punch was. He was Shui Yao, the sect leader of Dark Nether sect. He had always been ranked first on the bounty list in Tianwu Academy in the Dark Forest. Back then, he was also one of the disciples of Tianwu Academy. However, he killed many teachers in Tianwu Academy and plundered an evil cultivation technique. He even stole the treasures of Tianwu Academy. After being hunted down by Tianwu Academy, he killed many of Tianwu Academy's disciples before disappearing. In the end, he established the Dark Nether sect and became a formidable figure. Pfft! The purple-robed figure descended, and Du Xiaofu appeared in front of the blood demon. You're the demon king Du Xiaofu. Don't kill me. Don't. The blood demon looked at Du Xiaofu. The Divine Light Court had suffered heavy losses, and the demon king Du Xiaofu came from Tianwu Academy and was the young hall master of the 7-star hall. This was no longer a secret. For the past few days, he had been worried that even the Divine Light Court wouldn't be his backing. The Blood Demon wanted to escape and find another backing, but before he could do so, the Demon King Du Xiaofu came knocking on his door. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. You won't be able to escape from Tianwu Academy's debt of blood. Du Xiaofu's cold voice resounded as killing intent surged in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, he wanted to destroy the Blood Demon's soul. Don't kill me. I'll exchange my life for a piece of information. It's a huge piece of information related to Tianwu Academy. The Blood Demon begged for help. He didn't want to die. He wanted to save his life by exchanging a huge piece of information. Speak. Du Xiaofu's palm stopped before the Blood Demon's forehead. His golden eyes looked down at the Blood Demon, emitting an immense pressure and chilling intent. The Blood Demon trembled as he looked at the golden eyes. The young man from back then had grown to such a terrifying extent in such a short period of time. Even though he hadn't broken through to the martial saint realm, he was able to make the primordial spirit of a true martial saint tremble. You have to promise me that I'll tell you this huge piece of information related to Tianwu Academy. You have to spare my life. Otherwise, I'll die anyway. Why should I tell you this piece of information? The Blood Demon was fearful, but he knew that this piece of information was the only thing that could save his life. This was his last hope. But at this moment, the Blood Demon regretted not killing this young man in Tianwu Academy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to face this calamity today. Chapter 1000. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Alright, if this information is worth your life, I can spare your life, Du Xiaofu said coldly. I was only following orders to destroy Tianwu Academy. Everything was done by the Divine Radiance Court. The mastermind was the Divine Radiance Court. They wanted to find the precious treasure in Tianwu Academy, so they wanted to destroy the academy. The Blood Demon did not hold back at all. This was the only information he could exchange for his life. He hoped that the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, would seek revenge from the Divine Radiance Court and let him go. He was only following orders. Divine Radiance Court. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes turned cold. He did not expect Tianwu Academy to have such a relationship with the Divine Radiance Court. Everything was done by the Divine Radiance Court. If you dare to lie to me, I will make you beg for death. Du Xiaofu stared coldly at the Blood Demon. He would not believe the Blood Demon's words so easily. My life is in your hands now, so why would I lie to you? The Divine Radiance Court wanted to destroy Tianwu Academy because they wanted to obtain a precious treasure. However, they did not manage to find it in the end. The Blood Demon looked at Du Xiaofu and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He secretly scanned his surroundings. At this moment, miserable cries could be heard from the Dark Nether sect. The 100 over martial emperors were terrifying. Any one of them was enough to shock him. This was especially so when he saw the ferocious killing intent of the younger generation. Even someone as vicious as the Blood Demon could not help but inwardly suck in a breath of cold air. They are looking for Tianwu Academy's precious treasure. Could it be the desolate ancient space? Du Xiaofu frowned. The desolate ancient space should be the only precious treasure in Tianwu Academy. Back when Tianwu Academy was annihilated, Du Xiaofu still remembered that a figure covered in lightning had appeared and entered the desolate ancient space that was still at the Tianwu Talisman realm. Later on, it was severely injured by the soul seed in the desolate ancient space and had to leave. At this moment, Du Xiaofu pondered. Perhaps the Divine Light Court was also looking for the desolate ancient space. The Devil Religion and the Divine Light Court had already colluded for everything. That lightning figure also seemed to be someone from the Devil Religion. No matter what, the true culprit behind the destruction of Tianwu Academy was the Divine Radiance Court. Du Xiaofu was certain of this. If the mastermind was not the Divine Light Court, there was no need for the Blood Demon to involve the Divine Light Court. What is the Divine Radiance Court looking for in Tianwu Academy? Du Xiaofu asked Blood Demon. The Blood Demon shook his head and said to Du Xiaofu, I don't know much about it. It said that it's a token of some sort. That item is very important and can make the Divine Light Court rise in power and obtain great benefits. However, I'm sure that the Divine Light Court didn't get that item in the end. Isn't this the desolate ancient space? Du Xiaofu was a little confused. Can you let me go now? I've already told you everything I know. I hope you can keep your promise. The Blood Demon looked at Du Xiaofu. He didn't hide anything from him. At this moment, his life was still in the hands of the other party. I said that I won't kill you. I'll keep my promise, Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. Alright, we'll meet again. Joy flashed across the Blood Demon's eyes. He struggled to stand up, stuffed a few elixirs into his mouth, and flew into the sky. The Blood Demon didn't dare to stay. He was afraid that the Demon King would suddenly change his mind. Bang! A dull sound rang out. Just as the Blood Demon's figure flew into the sky, a blood-colored waterfall landed on his body. A terrifying blood aura filled the sky, and the Blood Demon's body fell from the sky once again. Swish, 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 the blood-black energy filled the sky and froze the space. A terrifying aura was released into the sky. Numerous runic tree vines pierced through the air and pierced through the Blood Demon's heavily injured and withered body, binding him in midair. The Blood Demon turned his head, and his eyes narrowed in despair. He saw countless strange tree vines wrapped around him tightly. The strange tree vines pierced through his body and devoured his vitality and blood. He was powerless to struggle, and he couldn't even self-detonate his God Watchtower. You lied to me. You didn't keep your promise. The Blood Demon looked at the purple-robed young man not far away from the mountain peak with resentment in his eyes. Third young master didn't kill you. We're the ones who killed you. The Phantom's figure appeared. Her delicate red lips parted slightly, and a powerful suction force spread out, devouring the Blood Demon's blood and vitality. The nourishment of a martial venerable was extremely beneficial to them. Du Xiaofu watched the Blood Demon turn into a bloody mist indifferently. He didn't feel too happy about taking revenge for Tianwu Academy. The Vice Dean and many elders couldn't come back to life. The Divine Radiance Court was the true mastermind behind all this. The massacre in the Dark Nether sect didn't take long before it ended. Not many disciples of the Dark Nether sect were able to escape. Blood dyed the mountains red, and rivers of blood flowed. The miserable cries gradually died down. The Dark Nether sect has been destroyed. The Blood Demon has been killed. I know that person. He's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. He's the one who destroyed the Dark Nether sect. That group of people is too terrifying. We can't afford to offend them. The commotion in the surroundings attracted many people's attention. They gathered to watch from afar. The killing intent covered the sun. Dazzling runes and energy beams covered the sky. It was extremely shocking. The surroundings shook, and all the spectators trembled. The bright moon hung in the night sky. The murderous aura in the Dark Nether sect did not dissipate. The Phantom, Blood Vines, Beast Killers, and Hun Xia were absorbing the murderous aura and remnant souls to strengthen themselves. This kind of massacre was the best opportunity for them to strengthen themselves. Every time they killed, the four of them would obtain great benefits. Under the moonlight, Jiangchen bathed in the light. His purple robes fluttered, and the outline of his face was alluring. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, I'm leaving. We'll meet again. You're welcome to stay. Du Xiaofu looked at Jiangchen. After spending some time together, he knew that Jiangchen wasn't the kind of person who would bring disaster to the world. With Jiangchen's strength, if he could stay in the world society and the desolate nation, that was something that Du Xiaofu desired. All good things must come to an end. You and I don't fit in. If there's a chance in the future, we'll naturally meet again. Jiangchen smiled faintly. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flew into the air and gradually disappeared into the moonlight. Whoosh! Whoosh! Several figures flew up the mountain. They were Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Du Xiaoqing, and Little Tiger. The Dark Nether sect's harvest is considerable. Du Yunlong handed Du Xiaofu several universe bags. They were the universe bags, spirit tools, talisman weapons, and spirit herbs they'd collected. However, Du Xiaoyao had eaten most of them. Ordinary items didn't even catch Du Xiaoyao's eye. Keep them to develop the desolate nation. Du Xiaofu smiled. He didn't lack anything. The desolate nation was developing and needed resources. The next day, hundreds of figures stood on the mountain peak. Big sister, second brother, Eagle King, be careful when you return. I'll return to the desolate nation after I'm done with my business. On the mountain peak, Du Xiaofu said to Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, Eagle King, Gong Dao, and the others who were returning to the desolate nation. Don't worry. You have to be careful of the devil religion and the Great Will sect. You have to be careful. Du Yunlong was worried about Du Xiaofu. I'll be careful. Du Xiaofu nodded. Then, he said to Yi Piaoling, Qian Gu Yu, Stone, Silver Fox, General, and Gu Xinyan, you have to be careful too. I'll leave the desolate nation and Tianwu Academy to you. We'll wait for the day when we destroy the Divine Light Court. Jiang Chen nodded. His aura suppressed the mountains and rivers. He thought that destroying the Dark Nether sect would be avenging the Tianwu Academy. Now, he knew that the Dark Nether sect was just following orders. The Divine Light Court was the real culprit. He couldn't let them go. I believe it won't take long. Du Xiaofu nodded. With everyone's talent, it wouldn't take long for them to grow into a force that could shock the Central Plains. Swoosh swoosh, everyone soared into the sky and left. Only Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, Ouyang Shuang, and Phantom were left on the mountain peak. Du Xiaofu arranged for Shou Sha, Soul Evil, and Blood Fiend Vine to follow Big Sister Du Xiaoman and the others back to the desolate nation. The situation around the desolate nation was still unstable. You should return to the desolate nation. It's dangerous to follow me. On the mountain peak, Du Xiaofu watched everyone leave. Then, he looked at the beautiful woman beside him and smiled bitterly. If you go to the ancient heaven sect, can't I go as well? If you don't want me to go with you, then I won't go. Ouyang Shuang glanced at Du Xiaofu. Her red lips were tender, but at this moment, there was no smile that could overturn a country. It was only lightly embellished on that peerlessly beautiful face that showed not the slightest bit of emotion. That temperament was undoubtedly telling people to stay away. That's not what I meant. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He didn't know how he had offended this tomboy. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, Du Xiaofu had a feeling that this tomboy was becoming more and more like a woman. What are you looking at? Feeling Du Xiaofu's gaze, Ouyang Shuang glared at him. Then, she completely ignored Du Xiaofu, as if she didn't know Du Xiaofu at all. She turned around and walked away gracefully. Big brother, big sister Shuang is worried about you. Du Xiaoqing smiled faintly. Her gaze was ethereal. Under that slightly youthful temperament, it could not hide the potential to bring disaster to the country and its people. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. Looking at Ouyang Shuang's back, how could he not feel it in his heart? Du Xiaoyao stood on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. His pale golden eyes looked ahead, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Mei Ling lazily leaned against a rock, her red dress trailing on the ground. Although she was not more beautiful than Ouyang Shuang, she had a bewitching charm that ordinary people could not compare to. Little Tiger, let's go to the ancient heaven sect first. Du Xiaofu stretched. He had to go back to the ancient heaven sect first. It had been a few years since he left the ancient heaven sect. Roar, Little Tiger transformed into its original form and flew away with everyone. Chapter 1001. That was another space, with the sun, moon, and stars, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. It was like another world. There were many of them, and they were very strong. Every one of them was terrifyingly talented. There were also many ancient monsters, some of whose bloodlines were not much weaker than mine. On the little tiger's back, Du Shaoqing recounted what had happened after they had entered that space from the long river of the central province. Back then, Xia Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger had entered a strange space, and then appeared in a foreign world. There were many terrifyingly strong cultivators, as well as many spiritual birds and ancient beasts. At the mention of everything that had happened in that world, the little tiger, who was spreading its wings and flying, sucked in a breath of cold air. Back then, when it had entered, it had suffered a lot, and was trampled on very badly. It was only later that it was able to blend in, and even gained great benefits. That space is very mysterious, like a space created by a large hidden clan. Du Xiaoyao's pale golden eyes rippled with radiance. Everything within this space caused her to feel fear. What kind of place is that? There seem to be many secrets hidden in this world. Du Xiaofu murmured softly. He had learned everything about that space from Du Shaoqing and Du Xiaoyao, and with the clan that his mother belonged to, it seemed that there were more secrets hidden in this world than he had imagined. I heard Sister Xiao Luo say that they seem to have some restrictions, and can't easily come out of the outside world. Du Shaoqing stood with her ethereal eyes, and continued to say to Du Xiaofu, the people in there all cultivate their own crops, even Sister Xiao Luo. Who is Sister Xiao Luo? Du Xiaofu asked. This was not the first time he had heard this from Du Shaoqing. Sister Xiao Luo is their goddess. If there's a chance in the future, I'll take you to their place to play. But Sister Xiao Luo said that we can't bring outsiders in. That space entrance can only be entered during special times, Du Shaoqing said with a pout. We'll talk about it when there's a chance in the future. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. The people there did not like outsiders, and their strength was incomparably tyrannical. He was afraid that it would be better if he did not go there. Moments later, Du Xiaofu summoned the ancient desolate space and placed it on the phantom. He then brought Du Shaoqing, Yangshuang, and the others into the ancient desolate space to comprehend. Even with the little tiger's speed, it would still take several days to reach the ancient heaven sect. In the ancient desolate space, he could stay there for several months. Du Xiaofu naturally did not want to miss this opportunity. This was the time when he needed time to comprehend. Within the desolate ancient space, Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped in a golden light after a while. He was immersed in comprehension. The mysterious move, the pulse spirit, the golden-winged rock technique, the overbearing sword way, the symbol array, and so on all required time to comprehend. Translator, Transin editor, Transin in the Divine Thunder Mountain Range, the sealed ancient land had always been turbulent. Some people had no choice but to leave, while others continued to join. The flow was endless, and the cycle was endless. Countless corpses were left in the sealed ancient land. However, not many people were lucky enough to obtain any benefits. Some people were searching for the Divine Thunder Cauldron, but they could not find it. Many people from the entire Central Plains entered the sealed ancient land. They came and went, batch after batch. Many hidden experts also secretly appeared and then quietly left. Recently, many major events had happened in the Central Plains, and the news had spread everywhere. Many experts from the Stone Dragon Empire, the Great Luan Sect, and the Divine Light Court had been killed. The Divine Light Court and the Devil Religion had joined forces and appeared in the Divine Pivot Hall of the Spirit Domain. The revered equipment had appeared, and the Hall Master of the Alioth Hall, 9 Lives Venerable GMO, had broken through to the Martial Domain realm. In the end, the Divine Light Court and the Devil Religion had suffered heavy losses. Almost all of the invaders had been wiped out. Not long after, the Dark Nether sect had been massacred. The Blood Demon had died tragically. Rumor had it that the Tianwu Academy had done it. Many people had discovered that these major events were related to the demon king, Du Xiaofu. They were all related to Du Xiaofu. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's figure had appeared in the familiar ancient heaven sect. Martial Uncle Du is back. Martial Uncle Du. Martial Uncle Du, seeing the familiar purple-robed young man return, the ancient heaven sect was in an uproar. Many disciples gathered around and crowded around him. Back then, in the space-time talisman array, the purple-robed young man had fought against 10 supreme geniuses. How shocking and domineering. All the disciples of the ancient heaven sect were proud of him. The World Society disciples of the ancient heaven sect had also heard the news and came over to greet him respectfully. Everyone, please rise. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He did not expect so many people to gather around him. I didn't expect you to be so popular in the ancient heaven sect. Oh, Yang Shuang glanced at Du Xiaofu. Of course. I have a good character. Du Xiaofu nodded without hesitation. Shameless. Du Xiaoyao could not bear to listen anymore. She rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu and landed on Yang Shuang's shoulder. After much difficulty, Du Xiaofu let Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and Phantom go to his nest in the ancient heaven sect first. The first thing he did was to go to Tianmu Peak to see his master. On Tianmu Peak, Elder Gu Qingyang had a leisurely look on his face. He was personally guiding his 2 grand disciples, Du Shui and Du Yu, in their cultivation. When he saw Du Xiaofu, a smile appeared on his face. Yu Wanli had a helpless look on his face. Only when he saw his junior brother return did he reveal a smile. Only the heavens knew what kind of medicine his master had taken recently. He had to drag his 2 treasured disciples to cultivate all day long. However, because of Du Shui and Du Yu's hard work, his days on Tianmu Peak were much better. You're back. Quick, let master take a look. Elder Gu Qingyang pulled Du Xiaofu aside and carefully sized him up. At the same time, he muttered, I heard that the Divine Light Court went to the Sky Pivot Hall. Fortunately, you're fine. Brother Xiaofu. Du Shui and Du Yu bowed and happily surrounded him. At this moment, the 2 of them had awakened their lightning martial veins. Their cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, even among their peers in the ancient heaven sect, they were top-notch existences. To Elder Gu Qingyang, his beloved disciple was already famous in the central continent. She had suppressed everyone and was a supreme genius. His 2 grand disciples were also incomparably powerful. They had defeated their peers in the Manchu. This made Elder Gu Qingyang's mood better and better. When he had nothing to do, he would go and attack Hu Sankuan and the other elders. As a result, Hu Sankuan and the others could only helplessly hide. When the master and disciples met, they would inevitably chat. After a while, in a small hall on Tianmu Peak, Du Xiaofu asked his master, Gu Qingyang, about the devil religion. This devil religion is very mysterious. I don't know much about it. I only know that it has existed for a long time. Even our ancient heaven sect is secretly investigating it. Gu Qingyang frowned slightly. Master doesn't know either. Du Xiaofu's expression darkened. He thought that his master would know some of the origins of the devil religion. He didn't expect that even his master didn't know. It was enough to show that the origin of the devil religion was extremely mysterious and well hidden. Perhaps you can ask your senior brother. He should know more than me. Gu Qingyang said. Okay. Du Xiaofu nodded. This was the only way. Then, he smiled mysteriously at his master and asked, Master, have you ever entered the sealed ancient land? Of course, I have. I have also obtained the divine lightning body refinement. Elder Gu Qingyang chuckled with pride. Among his peers, he was definitely one of the top 10 in the entire central state. Is that so? Then I can only let third senior brother, Du Shui, and Du Yu go in. Du Xiaofu had already guessed that his master must have obtained the divine lightning body refinement. He could feel traces of it from his master's aura. Then, he smiled mysteriously. He didn't want to hide the matter of the divine lightning cauldron from his master. He took out the divine lightning cauldron and wanted to let Du Shui, Du, and third senior brother Yuanli in to receive the divine lightning body refinement. However, when they saw the divine lightning cauldron in Du Xiaofu's hand, elder Gu Qingyang and Yuanli were stunned. Then, their pupils shrank and their breathing quickened. Ha 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 ha. After a long time, Gu Qingyang couldn't help but laugh. His laughter reverberated throughout Tianmu Peak, causing many hidden auras to peek over. Du Xiaofu was so frightened that he immediately put away the purple lightning cauldron to prevent the news from leaking out. We're going to be rich. We're going to be rich. Gu Qingyang also realized that he was too excited and immediately stopped laughing. However, he couldn't help but dance with excitement. On his rosy face, it could be said that he was smiling like a flower. Chapter 1002. After a while, Du Xiaofu let Du Shui, Du, and Yuanli into the purple thunder profound cauldron. Then, Du Xiaofu went to the main palace, wanting to ask the sect master about the devil religion. Before leaving Tianmu Peak, Gu Qingyang specially warned Du Xiaofu not to leak the news of the divine thunder cauldron. Now, the people of the 9 forces were searching everywhere for the divine thunder cauldron. Thinking about how the divine thunder cauldron was in the hands of his precious disciple and how the 8 forces were still searching everywhere, Gu Qingyang felt even better. In a small courtyard behind the main peak of the ancient sky sect, Du Xiaofu didn't see Sima taxing, but he saw Sima Muhan. Your father isn't in the ancient sky sect? Du Xiaofu's eyes widened as he asked Sima Muhan. He just found out that the sect master wasn't in the ancient sky sect. My father left last night, so Grand Master Qingyang doesn't know. Sima Muhan nodded and rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. You came back to find my father? I came to find your father to ask some things. Du Xiaofu asked helplessly, do you know when your father will come back? I don't know. Sima Muhan shook her head, then glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, but my father seems to have said that he will be back soon. You can wait in the ancient sky sect. That's the only way. Du Xiaofu nodded. That was the only thing he could do. I'm going to the Golden Space tomorrow to comprehend the Bright Saint Sword Manual. Do you want to come? Sima Muhan pouted slightly, her delicate red lips tempting people to kiss. Her light purple eyes rippled as she said, the place to comprehend the Bright Saint Sword Manual is not a place that ordinary people can go. Among the disciples of the Manchu who are qualified to go there, no more than 5 people in a generation. Bright Saint Sword Manual. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved slightly. The Bright Saint Sword art was slightly different from ordinary sword arts and martial arts. It was comprehended by a powerful martial artist of the ancient heaven sect in his lifetime. It was vast, mysterious, and complicated. Although he had already comprehended the Bright Saint Sword Manual and had made some progress, Du Xiaofu still felt that there was something special about the Bright Saint Sword Manual, as if it was somehow related to him. Yes, of course. Du Xiaofu immediately nodded his head. This was a place that ordinary people could not go. Naturally, he would not miss such an opportunity. Du Xiaofu then left, intending to take a look at the World Pavilion. Idiot! Looking at Du Xiaofu's departing figure, Sima Muhan's light purple eyes revealed a faint smile as he pursed his lips into a smile. The World Pavilion, with the support of the Ancient Heaven sect, had become the most prosperous trading company in the Ancient Heaven sect, leaving the other trading companies far behind. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the World Pavilion, the business inside was booming, causing quite a commotion. Mo1, Qiao Yingmeng, Judge Hao, Gu Zong, and the others all came to the World Pavilion to wait for their president's return. Greetings, President. Gu Zong, Mo1, Qiao Yingmeng, and the others bowed. Looking at the purple-robed youth before them, they were happy for their choice. No need for formalities. Du Xiaofu smiled and looked at the crowd, only to find that Gu Zhangyu was not among them. Boss, you're looking for Gu Zhangyu, right? That guy has been in seclusion fiddling with puppets. I just went to find him. He should be here soon, Judge Hao said to Du Xiaofu. President, you're back. Where is President? As soon as Judge Hao finished speaking, Gu Zhangyu's voice rang out. Then, his figure rushed up to the second floor of the World Pavilion. His face was covered in dirt, and he immediately bowed when he saw Du Xiaofu. At that moment, Gu Zhangyu was no longer the same as before in the ancient heaven sect. His status was extraordinary, and his attainments in the art of puppetry had shocked even some of the elders in the ancient heaven sect. Because of that, his status in the ancient heaven sect was different from before. However, he would never teach the art of puppetry to outsiders, so many of the elders in the ancient heaven sect could do nothing to him. What's wrong with you? Seeing Gu Zhangyu's dirty appearance, Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. He, I just failed to refine a puppet. Gu Zhangyu smiled embarrassedly, but his eyes flickered with intelligence. Since they were going to stay in the ancient heaven sect for a few days, Du Xiaofu asked Mo Wen, Qiao Yingmeng, Mu Jiejia, Judge Hao, and the others to head to the Heaven Eye Mountain range the next morning. He had some matters to arrange in his lair, but he asked them not to leak the news. Although everyone was puzzled, they did not hesitate and nodded. Then, Du Xiaofu understood the current situation of the World Pavilion and was shocked. Only then did Du Xiaofu know how prosperous the World Pavilion's business had become in the past few years. Even the ancient heaven sect sometimes had to cooperate with the World Pavilion. This was especially true for the profound origin pills and berserk pills that were sold outside. They had brought a shocking amount of wealth to the World Pavilion. It was no exaggeration to say that the wealth accumulated by the World Pavilion had shocked even Du Xiaofu. The development of the World Pavilion was much better than what Du Xiaofu had imagined. Of course, Du Xiaofu also knew that all of this had a huge effect on the ancient heaven sect's platform. With such a huge platform like the ancient heaven sect, the World Pavilion could reach such a level in such a short time. When Du Xiaofu returned to his courtyard, it was already dusk. Everything around the courtyard was very familiar. Du Xiaofu also felt emotional. The ancient heaven sect could be considered his third home. In the ancient heaven sect, there was the love of his master, the care of his senior brothers, Sima Muhan, Judge Hao, Mo Wen, Qiao Yingmeng, Wild Bull, Yin Machen, and the others. As long as he was here, Du Xiaofu felt warmth in his heart. At night, just as Du Xiaofu was about to enter the ancient desolate space to comprehend, Yin Machen, Sima Muhan, Yun Ling, Ji Aoming, Si Ruofeng, and the others came. Even Ruo Shuihan was among them. How's the wine? Yin Machen looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. He put down many low-tier demonic beasts and wild beasts. Then, he said to Yun Ling, Si Ruofeng, Ruo Shuihan, and Sima Muhan behind him, his strongest point isn't his strength, but his ability to roast meat. Roast meat. At the mention of roast meat, Du Xiaoqing and Little Tiger couldn't help but swallow their saliva. After a while, the aroma of roast meat filled the air on the mountain peak. The roast meat was roasted by a roaring fire. Du Xiaofu always carried spices with him. This group of people was brightly lit on the mountain. Naturally, no one in the Manchu dared to interfere. Ordinary elders would automatically retreat. The aroma of roast meat filled the air, and a sizzling sound echoed. It made people drool. Less than an hour later, the aroma of roast meat and wine filled the air. As soon as Du Xiaofu announced the start of the meal, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Yun Ling, and Yin Machen didn't stand on ceremony and ate heartily. Yin Mo Chen had a graceful bearing and was handsome beyond compare. When Shui Ruhan and Sima Muhan saw his table manners, they were secretly astonished. However, not long after, Sima Muhan and Ouyang Shuang didn't stand on ceremony. For some reason, the two women seemed to be secretly cheering. Not only did they eat heartily, they even hugged a large jar of wine each and drank fiercely. Du Xiaofu, Yin Machen, Yun Ling, and the others saw that the situation wasn't good and took the initiative to avoid it. Shui Ruhan and Phantom, the two women who didn't eat food, couldn't resist the aroma of roast meat in the end. When they saw Sima Muhan, Du Shaoqing, and Ouyang Shuang eating like tigers and wolves, Shui Ruhan and Phantom couldn't help but try it. The result was obvious. The two women, like Sima Muhan and Ouyang Shuang, became boorish. In the end, Sima Muhan, Ouyang Shuang, Phantom, and Shui Ruhan drank until they were dead drunk. The four beautiful women were on the verge of collapsing. They supported each other and left the mountain. I wanted to spar with you back then. Luckily, I didn't go. On the mountain, Yunling reeked of wine as he put his hand on Du Xiaofu's shoulder and said, "Why don't we spar now?" Du Xiaofu smiled. It just so happened that he had some enlightenment recently. Spar with you? Forget it. I'm not drunk. Yunling glared at Du Xiaofu and walked away from him. Late at night, everyone left after filling their stomachs. When Du Xiaofu returned to his room, he was dumbfounded. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's room was occupied by Sima Muhan, Ouyang Shuang, Phantom, and Shui Ruhan. The four beautiful women were lying on the bed that originally belonged to Du Xiaofu. Their beautiful curves were enough to make one's nose bleed. Du Xiaofu was dumbfounded. In the end, he could only leave. But before he left, he couldn't help but take a few more glances at them with a trace of reluctance. When he returned to the mountain peak, the sky was almost bright. Du Xiaofu wasn't in the mood to cultivate. He stood quietly, looking at the direction of the moon until dawn. Early in the morning, Mo Wen, Gu Zhangyu, Gu Zong, and the rest came. In a side room of the courtyard, Du Xiaofu summoned the desolate ancient space and let the surprised people in. When Du Xiaofu summoned the purple lightning profound cauldron, Gu Zong, Hao Guan, and the others, who had entered the sealed ancient land, sucked in a cold breath. Their eyes shrunk. Don't tell anyone. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. He asked Mo Wen and the others to come because he trusted them. After putting them into the purple lightning profound cauldron, he left the desolate ancient space. The ancient golden space was one of the three spaces in the ancient heaven sect. To enter the ancient golden space, one had to use the energy gold talisman. Otherwise, one would be expelled. Today's update is complete. Chapter 1003. With Du Xiaofu's current status and wealth in the ancient sky sect, as well as Sima Muhan, obtaining the energy gold talisman was naturally not a problem. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the ancient golden space early in the morning, he saw Sima Muhan, and the two of them entered the ancient golden space. The ancient sky sect had a total of 3 special spaces, namely the ancient golden space, the ancient silver space, and the ancient bronze space. The 3 spaces corresponded to the disciples of the ancient sky sect for 3 years. Within each space, there were various martial skills, talisman arrays, beast energy, secret techniques, and so on. Within the 3 spaces, the talisman arrays and secret techniques were of different difficulty levels. The most difficult one was naturally the ancient golden space. The energy gold talismans that entered the ancient golden space were also the most expensive. Once the energy gold talismans were used up, they would have to be earned again. Otherwise, they would be pushed out. The 3 spaces were all individually sealed small spaces. With Du Xiaofu's current cultivation and strength in talisman arrays, he could see more and more of their essence. However, Du Xiaofu also knew that with his current cultivation, he was far from being able to do so. This was enough to show the ancient sky sect's foundation. Within the ancient golden space, everything was as Du Xiaofu had imagined. There were insights, beast energy, secret techniques, cultivation experiences, and various cultivation explanations left behind by the ancient sky sect's ancestors everywhere. The level of understanding was higher than that of the ancient bronze space. Various martial skills and talisman arrays were engraved on huge jade stone tablets for all the disciples of the ancient sky sect to comprehend. This also attracted Du Xiaofu's attention, and he wanted to comprehend it. The place we're going is still ahead. Sima Muhan pulled Du Xiaofu, wanting to take Du Xiaofu to another place to comprehend. Alright, these secret techniques are vast. I'll comprehend them later. Du Xiaofu was a little reluctant. The ancient golden space in the ancient sky sect was definitely different. Following Sima Muhan, Du Xiaofu saw some familiar figures along the way. There were even many elders and protectors in the ancient golden space. Some of them were comprehending martial skills, while others were comprehending beast energy. There were also people who were immersed in the various cultivation experiences of the ancient sky sect's ancestors, and did not pay attention to others. Everyone was immersed in their own world, they were comprehending and cultivating. There's something familiar. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu felt a sense of familiarity. It was not but a feeling, it was a strange feeling, it was a strange feeling. We've arrived. Sima Muhan said in the Du Xiaofu in front of an empty valley. This was the depths of the ancient golden space, as if they had reached the edge of this space. There was nothing around him, only a vast expanse of land. Bright Saint bright sword plays dragon sword world. Du Xiaofu could not help but feel suspicious. The surroundings were empty, and there was no place to comprehend anything, except for a strange, familiar aura. Could it be that the ancient sky sect's ancestor comprehended the Bright Saint Sword manual here? Du Xiaofu was a little suspicious. However, the strange aura at this time seemed to be related to the Bright Saint Sword manual, and also to him. There's a small space here. There aren't many people in the world who know about this place. This is the most secret place in the ancient sky sect. Sima Muhan pursed her lips. She formed a seal in her hand, and then an object appeared, turning into a talisman that flew out secretly. Finally, a spatial entrance opened in front of the valley. A beautiful figure flashed in, and a voice sounded, "Come in quickly." This is the place where the ancestor comprehended the Bright Saint Sword manual. Du Xiaofu heard this and immediately flew in. Then, the spatial entrance's ripples slowly disappeared. Everything in the space was normal. The aura was ancient, and it was not very wide. There was nothing around. In the center of the space, there was a mountain. This mountain seemed to be barren, as if it was a land of death. In this space, the mountaintop appeared to be completely dried up. Half of a stone tablet stood on top of the sand and rocks, while the other half was buried in the barren mountain. The stone tablet was not small, and the exposed part was dozens of feet high. It was modeled, as if it came from ancient times and had existed for countless years. There were many small, intricate cracks on it. When Du Xiaofu saw the stone tablet on the barren mountain, his body trembled. His clear pupils shrank slightly, just like when his master, Gu Qingyang, saw the purple lightning profound cauldron. No one knows how long this stone tablet has existed. Even now, no one in the ancient heaven sect knows how long this stone tablet has existed. This stone tablet has existed since the ancestors of the ancient heaven sect. It is a treasure. Rumor has it that anyone who can truly comprehend it will be able to obtain a great divine ability. Sima Muhan looked at Du Xiaofu's expression. There was some surprise in her light purple eyes. She said, "It's just that for a long time, no one has been able to comprehend it completely. Only the senior in the Manchu back then comprehended the Bright Saint Sword manual from this stone tablet. This proves that this stone tablet is indeed a treasure. I came here in hopes of making progress in the way of the sword. This is the second stone tablet. It's something that can only be found by chance." Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed, and then he smiled. The stone tablet before him was exactly the same as the stone tablet on the barren mountain in the Du family's residence. That stone tablet contained a vast and mysterious technique. This was the second stone tablet. When Du Xiaofu comprehended the mysterious technique, he felt that there would be a second technique. However, he couldn't find the second technique in the broken stone tablet, so he had no choice but to give up. Looking at the stone tablet, Du Xiaofu smiled. His feet touched the ground, and his figure suddenly flew out and landed lightly in front of the stone tablet. Du Xiaofu even forgot that Sima Muhan was beside him. He stood directly in front of the stone tablet and stared at it without blinking. What the hell? Sima Muhan looked at Du Xiaofu's back and muttered. Then she landed behind Du Xiaofu. Seeing that Du Xiaofu seemed to have comprehended something, Sima Muhan didn't disturb him. However, Sima Muhan felt strange. Was this stone tablet really a treasure? According to the Manchu's records, no one in the ancient heaven sect was interested in this stone tablet. Although it was rumored that this stone tablet was a treasure that contained a great ability, no one paid attention to it. In the past, there were experts who checked the stone tablet. It was an ordinary stone tablet that couldn't be any more ordinary. There was nothing special about it. If it wasn't for the fact that the Manchu thought that an expert with great talent had comprehended the extraordinary Bright Saint Sword manual from the stone tablet, it would have attracted the attention of the ancient heaven sect again. Otherwise, this stone tablet would have been forgotten long ago. Does it really contain a great ability? Sima Muhan muttered. Then she followed Du Xiaofu's actions and carefully looked at the ancient stone tablet, hoping to comprehend something. However, time passed slowly. Aside from some mottled marks on the stone tablet, it was completely an ordinary stone tablet. Sima Muhan really couldn't comprehend anything. A few days later, Sima Muhan, who was on the verge of collapse, secretly looked at the purple-robed young man beside her. He actually maintained the same posture for several days without moving, which surprised Sima Muhan. Sima Muhan pouted slightly. She was somewhat unwilling to admit defeat. That guy seemed to have comprehended something. How could she be weaker than him? Did he really comprehend something? After 7 days, Sima Muhan really couldn't endure it anymore. She couldn't comprehend anything at all, but the purple-robed young man beside her didn't move for 7 days. I don't believe it. Sima Muhan secretly stomped her feet and gritted her teeth. She continued to persevere, looking for any possible clues on the stone tablet. She couldn't wait to smash the stone tablet and search for it. After another 3 days, Sima Muhan's beautiful face looked very ugly. She really couldn't endure it anymore. This can't contain a great ability. Sima Muhan's face was helpless. She felt like an idiot. She stood in front of an ordinary stone tablet without moving for 10 days and didn't even know what she was doing. On the contrary, the fellow beside him seemed to have realized something. Take your time to comprehend it. I'll leave first. Slightly pouting, Sima Muhan gave up and turned to leave. Then, Sima Muhan thought of something. She put all the energy gold talismans on her body into Du Xiaofu's body and turned to leave angrily. Chapter 1004. Time passed slowly in this space. Du Xiaofu maintained the same posture. It was as if he had returned to the Du family in Stone City, making others look like a fool. After an unknown amount of time, the golden energy talismans on Du Xiaofu's body became fewer and fewer. His figure finally changed his posture and began to sit cross-legged. His eyes were slightly closed on his resolute face, and his thick eyebrows were like swords. The devil religion has appeared. What is their intention? The afterglow of the setting sun shrouded the mountains. In front of the main hall of the ancient heaven sect, Sima Ta Xing looked at the sky in front of him. His glassy eyes flickered with the color of the setting sun. Sect Master, the devil religion seems to have been collecting spirit thunder. Xiahou Fenglei has the 3,000 repelling thunder. Although he suffered a heavy blow this time, I'm afraid he won't let this matter go. Protector Hao said. Even if the devil religion won't let this matter go, they have suffered a heavy blow this time. In addition, GMO has broken through the Nirvana realm and entered the martial domain. The devil religion has to be wary of other forces. I'm afraid they won't make any big moves in a short time. Sima Taxing frowned slightly and said softly, "The devil religion has been hiding for a long time, but now they have appeared. The sealed ancient land of the central continent has appeared, and rumor has it that the other 8 continents are not peaceful. The last time I went there, I received some news that there may be great chaos in this world." Great chaos. Protector Hao's eyes turned solemn. "How is that kid now?" Sima Taxing suddenly turned and asked Protector Hao. "He's still there." Protector Hao's eyes were a little surprised. He replied to Sima Taxing, "It has been 3 months." Sima Taxing's eyes flickered when he heard this. He said softly, "It has been 3 months. Except for that ancestor in the Munchu, no one has been able to last 3 months. Could it be that the kid has really comprehended something? Time was still passing." The liveliness in the sealed ancient land outside the Divine Thunder Mountain range finally calmed down. The entire sealed ancient land had been turned upside down. They were just short of digging 3 feet into the ground. Although some people gained benefits, most of them returned disappointed. Not many people knew that the Divine Thunder Cauldron had already fallen into Du Xiaofu's hands. Most of the treasures in the sealed ancient land had fallen into the hands of the Phantom, the Beast Killer, the Blood Vine Killer, and Hun Xie. In the end, they had all fallen into the hands of Du Xiaofu. It's been half a year. Why hasn't that guy come out yet? Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. Inside the ancient heaven sect, Sima Taxing was puzzled and his eyes were shining. "I've already gone to take a look. He seems to have comprehended something. Even I don't dare to stay in that space." Dharma Protector Hao's eyes were filled with astonishment. He went into the space and saw the young man in the purple robe standing in front of the stone stele. There was no aura around him, as if he were an old monk meditating, or perhaps he had already passed away. However, it was so silent. An invisible aura spread through the air, making him not dare to stay any longer. It was as if the aura could tear his body apart. What did he comprehend? Hearing this, Sima Taxing asked in surprise. He knew Protector Hao's cultivation. Sword. It's a sword intent. A terrifying sword intent. The shock in Protector Hao's eyes grew stronger. The sword intent in that space was too terrifying. The sword intent was so domineering that it seemed to have formed a space of its own. As soon as he got close, he had to retreat. Time passed, and the central continent returned to its former peace. The name of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, had already spread throughout the central continent. There had been no news of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, for more than a year. People had started to investigate, but no one knew where Du Xiaofu had gone. In the spirit domain, the 7-star hall was growing stronger and stronger. As the Weapon Venerable and the 9 Lives Venerable, GMO, reappeared, they began to openly recruit outside. For a time, it attracted many wandering cultivators and small and medium-sized forces. The movement made the 9 major forces watch. As for the Divine Light Court, under the purge of the 7-star hall, their territories were swept away. However, no more experts appeared, allowing the 7-star hall to sweep away all the territories. The territories of no less than 20 empires all fell into the hands of the 7-star hall. Among them, there were many who took advantage of the situation. It was said that the Sky Snake sect and many other forces took the opportunity to gain a lot of benefits from the Divine Light Court. As for the Divine Light Court's Xinguang Heavenly Venerable, he just hid in his lair and never appeared. However, the experts of the 7-star hall did not go to the Divine Light Court's lair either. But all the major forces in the central continent knew that the Divine Light Court had been completely destroyed. If it were not for the devil religion, it would have been completely destroyed by the 7-star hall. In the dark forest, more than a year had passed, it was also a mess. With the fall of the Stone Dragon Empire's Qing family, the desolate country's Du family did not plan to take over the Stone Dragon Empire. Some of the surrounding empires were eager to take over the Stone Dragon Empire. Even the Tianhu Empire and the other 2 empires that had been attacked at their doorstep took the opportunity to counterattack. In the end, many of the surrounding empires could not stand it anymore and attacked the Stone Dragon Empire. After the war between the Stone Dragon Empire and the Desolate Country, as well as the war with the Tianhu Empire and the other two empires, some of the major cities had not completely recovered and were already riddled with holes. At this time, it was impossible for them to stop the allied forces of the many empires. It had been more than half a year, and the Stone Dragon Empire was filled with smoke. Countless people had lost their homes and there were corpses everywhere. Countless major cities were covered in blood. The huge Stone Dragon Empire had been divided into 3 parts by the various empires. The few old kings who had come out at this time were unable to stop the footsteps of the surrounding empires. Moreover, everyone knew that behind the various empires, there were traces of several of the 9 great forces. It could be said that if those empires were not afraid of the Desolate Country's intervention, they would have already swept all the way to Dragon City. Countless refugees from the Stone Dragon Empire rushed to the Desolate Country to seek shelter and were accepted by the Desolate Country. However, the Desolate Country was soon overcrowded. Vice President, our Desolate Country is already overcrowded. We can't fit in the dark forest anymore. Li Shui said to Du Yunlong in the main hall of the Stone City's Du family. We can't just ignore them. We'll try our best to take care of as much as we can. Prepare food and clean water for the refugees. We must take good care of the elderly, women, and children. Du Yunlong spoke, his sharp eyes filled with determination. Yunlong has matured. With Xiaofu in charge of external affairs and him in charge of internal affairs, our Du family will not fall. Du Zhenwu said to Du Zhixiong in the main hall. His eyes were filled with gratification. The younger generation of the Du family were all extraordinary. When they saw this, they were overjoyed. Vice President, the North Vanquishing Monarch, the South Vanquishing Monarch, and the East Vanquishing Monarch have sent people 3 times. They want us to send troops to help. Li Shui continued, within the Stone Dragon Empire, countless refugees have come praying. They want to see the Rock Emperor and hope that the Rock Emperor will send troops to save the Stone Dragon Empire. This is the 3rd time that the 3 old Wangs have sent people here. They have a special relationship with Xiaofu, Du Zhenwu said. The Stone Dragon Empire is now flowing with rivers of blood and countless refugees. We, Old Master, we have nothing to do with the Stone Dragon Empire. I don't agree with sending troops. Murong Yorua said. She had always opposed the Desolate Country sending troops. She had even refused the 3 monarchs' request. Miss Murong, the 3 monarchs have asked for help 3 times. Countless people have suffered. Moreover, the 3 monarchs mentioned in their letters that regardless of whether Xiaofu agrees or not, Xiaofu is now the emperor of the Stone Dragon Empire. Xiaofu is angry and wants to avoid the Stone Dragon Empire. However, I'm afraid he won't have the heart to see the Stone Dragon Empire run wild. Our Stone City's debt is the Qing family, not the countless people of the Stone Dragon Empire. Du Zhenwu couldn't bear it. The Stone Dragon Empire was filled with refugees. The 3 monarchs had asked for help 3 times and countless refugees had come to pray. He wasn't hard-hearted and couldn't bear it. If Third Brother was here, he wouldn't have the heart to see the Stone Dragon Empire run wild. Even when we went to Dragon City, Third Brother couldn't bear to attack the civilians. Du Xiaoman said. She knew Third Brother's personality. Although he was domineering, that was only towards his enemies. What do you all think? Perhaps we can do something to help. At least, we can protect several cities and give the refugees a place to live. An old man from the Du family spoke. He couldn't bear to see the Stone Dragon Empire run wild. After all, Stone City and the Stone Dragon Empire had an unclear relationship. Chapter 1005. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. In the main hall, the experts from the World Society and the Celestial Beast Hall looked at each other in silence. Du Yunlong didn't say anything either. He seemed to be pondering something in his sharp eyes. Do you really have the heart to see wails and cries everywhere? Everyone, go outside and take a look. How many people are in terrible states? How many have lost their homes? How many have lost their families? How many are crying everywhere? This is a great suffering. An old woman from the Du family continued to speak. Looking at the experts in the main hall, she said, "You all have the ability now. No matter what the reason is, even if you can only protect some people, it's good enough." Everyone in the main hall heard this. This was an elder from the Du family who rarely spoke. They knew she was kind. What she said made sense. At this moment, there were people in terrible states everywhere in the Stone Dragon Empire. Even the Absolute Sword King and the others, who were ruthless in killing, could not bear to see such a disaster. This was because they weren't attacking the enemy. Most of the people who were bleeding were civilians. There were even old, weak, women, and children. "Yunlong, Lilith man, please say something. We'll do what we can." "That's good too." A silver-haired old woman from the Du family looked at Du Yunlong and Du Xiaoman. She hoped the desolate country would intervene and at least protect some of the civilians. "Why don't we take down the Lanling prefecture and shelter the refugees? This way, we'll be doing our duty," someone from the World Society said softly. "Why don't?" Du Xiaoman opened her mouth, as if to agree. General, Gu Xinyan, Guo Xiaofeng, Wu Kei, and Gue Wa have already gone to help. They are from the Stone Dragon Empire. "I have nothing to say," Murong Yorua interrupted Du Xiaoman and said to the crowd, "but as long as they are from the World Society, I don't agree to intervene. Miss Murong, I know that you will do your best for the world. You have sacrificed a lot for the desolate country, and I thank you for that. But look outside. You can't be so cruel. If you really don't agree, then let's have a vote." The silver-haired old woman of the Du family looked at Murong Yorua, then said to the people in the hall, "Are you really not going to care? Yunlong, Xiaoman, Jinwu, Jixiong, you are all members of the Du family. The Du family has a rule. A family that accumulates kindness will have more to celebrate, and a family that accumulates evil will have more to suffer. Do you still remember? Even if Xiaofu is here today, I will definitely ask him to protect the refugees. Otherwise, this old woman will die here today." Great-grandmother, Du Xiaoman and Du Yunlong turned pale. Du Jinwu and Du Jixiong stood up. That old man had the same status as the head elder of the Du family. "Sister Yorua, what do you think?" Du Xiaoman looked at Murong Yorua. In terms of age, she was older than Murong Yorua. "I don't agree." Murong Yorua looked determined and did not waver. "Little girl, how can you be so cold-hearted?" the old woman said angrily. Murong Yorua looked at the old woman. She did not speak, but her expression was still determined. "I support Sister Yorua." Li Shui looked around, then her red lips curled up. She supported Murong Yorua. "I also support Miss Murong." Du Yunlong's eyes were filled with determination. "Take great-grandmother away to rest and take good care of her," Murong Yorua said. The meaning of her words was clear. Everyone understood what she meant by taking good care of her. It was equivalent to putting her under house arrest to prevent any accidents from happening to her. "Great-grandmother, I will take you away to rest. Leave the rest to us." A younger generation of the Du family stepped forward. Under Du Yunlong's nod, they forcibly led the old woman away. "You are really heartless and cold-hearted. Little girl Murong, this is the Du family's matter. Why are you interfering in our Du family's matter?" "Du Jinwu, Du Jixiong, Yunlong, Xiaoman, you have disappointed me," the old woman said angrily, but she was then led away by the younger generation of the Du family. Many people in the hall looked at each other. Looking at the people in the hall, Murong Yorua stood up and said, "If you listen to me, no one will interfere. If you don't, I can leave at any time." Murong Yorua said to Li Shui, "Inform the 3 old kings that we will not interfere. If they are willing to come to the world's summit and the barren country, we will welcome them. The Rock Emperor should also hope that they can come to the barren country at this time. I will do it now. Li Shui nodded and left. I will stop this. If the president blames us in the future, I will bear all the consequences. Murong Yorua turned and said to the people in the hall. Then, she also turned and left. Time continued to pass quietly. Since Du Xiaofu had entered the small space within the ancient golden space, a full year and 2 months had already passed. During this year and 2 months, the ancient heaven sect was as peaceful as ever. In the spirit realm, the devil religion did not take revenge on the 7-star hall. The 7-star hall was also recruiting and recuperating. Crack crack, a sound came from the deepest part of the ancient golden space. What's going on? A crack had appeared in a small space. The dazzling rune fluctuations attracted the attention of many people in the ancient golden space. In the small space, Du Xiaofu was still meditating in front of the stone tablet on the barren mountain. His eyes were closed, and there was no sound around him. It was as if he had passed away. But at this time, Du Xiaofu's golden energy talisman seemed to have run out and was about to be pushed out of this space. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was immersed in a certain state. It was as if the space around the barren mountain had merged with him. This ancient golden space was trying to push Du Xiaofu out. It was pushing out the entire barren mountain, including the stone tablet. Crash, the golden energy talisman finally ran out. There was an invisible and irresistible force in this space that directly pushed out the entire barren mountain. What's going on? At this time, many of the ancient heaven sect's elders, protectors, and disciples were surprised. A barren mountain had appeared out of thin air. What was even more surprising was that Du Xiaofu was sitting cross-legged in front of the stone tablet on the barren mountain. The barren mountain was once again pushed out by the invisible force of the ancient golden space. Under everyone's shocked gazes, it was finally pushed out. Boom, early in the morning, the peaceful ancient heaven sect shook. Outside the ancient golden space, a barren mountain appeared out of thin air and finally landed on top of 2 mountain peaks. It was a shocking scene. But then everything returned to normal. There was no aura fluctuation in the surroundings. It was just a barren mountain that appeared on top of 2 towering mountain peaks. There was an ancient stone tablet on the barren mountain, and a purple-robed youth was sitting cross-legged in front of it. Swoosh, swoosh. The commotion just now attracted the attention of the ancient heaven sex experts. Then, some figures appeared, and their gazes fell on the barren mountain that appeared out of thin air. For many people, and even for the ancient heaven sex elders, there were only a few who knew about the existence of the stone tablet. Therefore, many figures appeared and looked at the barren mountain that appeared out of thin air with strange expressions. What's going on? Why is Martial Uncle Du there? Why did a barren mountain suddenly appear? Is it related to Martial Uncle Du? Is Martial Uncle Du trying to comprehend the stone tablet? More and more figures appeared, and they all looked curiously at Du Xiaofu. Some people tried to look at the stone tablet, but they couldn't see anything. Pfft! Suddenly, a disciple of the ancient heaven sect vomited blood, and his face turned pale as if he had suffered a heavy blow. All disciples, pay attention. Don't look at your Martial Uncle Du. A loud voice shouted, waking up many disciples who were looking at Du Xiaofu. They were all pale with fright. Sword intent. His whole body is filled with sword intent. What is he trying to comprehend? On a mountain peak in the distance, Sima Texing stood, his robe fluttering in the wind. He looked at the purple-robed youth sitting cross-legged in front of the stone tablet with shock in his eyes. The Bright Saint Sword Manual was comprehended from the stone tablet. Is Xiaofu also comprehending the sword principle at this moment? Elder Gu Qingyang frowned slightly. He looked at his disciple in the distance and said softly, but this doesn't look like a simple sword Dao. That sword Dao seems to be the domineering sword Dao he comprehended in the sealed ancient land. Master, is he our junior brother? Beside elder Gu Qingyang, there was an old man who was about the same age as Yu Wanli. He was slender and wore a long robe. His eyes were bright, and one could tell that he must have been extremely handsome when he was young. Like elder Gu Qingyang, this old man also carried an ancient longsword on his back. He is your junior brother. Gu Qingyang nodded to the old man beside him and said, your junior brother has comprehended the bright saint sword manual much faster than you. 1 against 10, a supreme genius. The old man smiled and looked at the purple-robed youth in front of the stone tablet. Then, shock flashed in his eyes as he said softly, what a powerful sword intent. Time passed, and another month passed in the blink of an eye. The appearance of a barren mountain outside the ancient golden space surprised all the disciples of the ancient heaven sect, but it gradually calmed down after a month. However, Du Xiaofu showed no signs of waking up in front of the stone tablet. Even his posture had not changed. Finally, Du Xiaofu moved. However, he only lifted his head and stared at the empty stone tablet for 10 whole days. After that, he closed his eyes once again. Chapter 1006. Even the Great Luan sect, which everyone knew had suffered a great loss at the hands of Du Xiaofu, had never made trouble for the 7-star hall. The calmness of the 9 Great Luan sect made people feel that there was a special undercurrent. It seemed that something big was about to happen in the central plains that had been peaceful for a long time. The desolate country stood between the dark forest and Stone City. Even though many empires on the border were dividing up the Stone Dragon Empire, no one dared to make a move against the desolate country. The old kings of the Stone Dragon Empire couldn't hold on until the new generation of the general, Gu Xinyan, Guo Xiaofeng, Ghost Child, Wu Kei, and others joined in. They had all stepped into the martial emperor realm and were extremely talented. Therefore, they were able to hold back several empires and barely put up a last stand. However, that kind of resistance wouldn't last long. After repeated wars, the last army of the Stone Dragon Empire couldn't hold on anymore. They were short on supplies and their morale was unstable. More importantly, the shadows of several of the 9 Great Luan sects were behind the empires. Even the general and the others couldn't hold on for long. The dragon vein has been broken. Is the Stone Dragon Empire's fate really coming to an end? Smoke rose in front of the army. The North Vanquishing King wore blood-stained armor and had a solemn expression. Stone City, Du family's back mountain. Sister Yorua, everything has been arranged. We've done our best to take care of the refugees of the Stone Dragon Empire. On the mountain peak, Li Shue's attire was still as enchanting. She had become more capable over the years. She was young but held a high position in the world's society. At this time, she was already famous in the desolate country. She had countless suitors but no one could get close to her. Do our best, especially the old, the weak, women, and children. Also, let the flying monsters of the Heavenly Beast Hall bring food, water, and medicine to places with more refugees, said Murong Yorua. Okay. Li Shui nodded and turned to leave. Then, she seemed to remember something and looked back at Murong Yorua. She wanted to say something but stopped. Just say what you want to say. Is there anything you can't say to me? Murong Yorua smiled. Li Shui's eyes moved, she smiled faintly and said, many of the elders in the Du family have some complaints about you, and some people in the Stone City also feel that you are too hard-hearted. At the very least, you should have taken down the Lanling prefecture to settle the refugees. These days, the vice president and the minister have been under a lot of pressure. After all, Stone City and the Stone Dragon Empire have a lot of connections. Murong Yorua's eyes seemed calm. She then muttered in a low voice, it's good that they are kind-hearted, but they won't be able to accomplish great things. Li Shui looked at Murong Yorua and said, no matter what, I will always support Sister Yorua. Why do you support such a hard-hearted person like me? Murong Yorua asked Li Shui with a faint smile. Because you're doing this for the guild leader. You know that even if the guild leader were here right now, he would have already taken action. You're just trying to pave a path for the guild leader while he's not here. Li Shui said with a smile. She then turned around and left. Her beautiful figure left behind a beautiful arc in the air before she disappeared. It's really hard on you, little girl. As Li Shui's figure left, a rather wretched middle-aged face appeared in front of Murong Yorua. Brother Qing Chun. Murong Yorua smiled and bowed when she saw the figure in front of her. There's no need for those formalities. I'm just an idle person. Zhen Qing Chun smiled. There was a charm around him. If Brother Qing Chun were an idle person, I can guarantee that the Great Luan sect would have wanted to come to the desolate nation long ago. Murong Yorua's autumn eyes were like water. Under her long eyelashes, her eyes glowed with spiritual light. Her temperament was like a gentle breeze that gently brushed past her. Ha! Zhen Qing Chun smiled and looked at Murong Yorua before him. He said softly, I didn't expect that the ones with courage in the desolate nation would be you two little girls. Brother Qing Chun, you must be joking. Oldie went into seclusion because Miss Xia Fei has already become his disciple. She has received the true teachings of Oldie. He was afraid that Miss Xia Fei would come to ask for help. Therefore, he deliberately went into seclusion and left everything to me. The vice president is also clear in his heart. However, as a member of the desolate nation's royal family, he should be benevolent. He is now representing the Rock Emperor. There are some things that he wants to do, but may not be suitable for him to do. Therefore, there are some things that only an outsider like me can do. Murong Yorua walked with light steps. Her delicate body was lithe and tender, and her curves were graceful. Her delicate face was peerless. She looked at the mountain peak in front of her with ripples in her eyes. Zhen Qing Chun looked at the girl before him and smiled. He then waved his hand and said with some arrogance, Yi Wuming and Du Yunlong can see it, but they don't do it. They are benevolent. They can only guard the mountains and rivers, but they can't open them. Guarding a mountain is more difficult than opening a river. Murong Yorua looked at Zhen Qing Chun and said with a smile, Brother Qing Chun, are you saying that I'm not benevolent enough, that my heart is hard, and that I'm a vicious woman? But now is not the time for that kid to guard a mountain. What he needs is to open a river. Open a mountain and river. Zhen Qing Chun looked at Murong Yorua and smiled, saying, I know whether you're a vicious woman or not. Murong Yorua smiled and continued to look ahead. The breeze lifted her skirt and she said softly, I don't know when he will come back. He must have encountered something. At least there won't be any danger in the ancient heaven sect, said Zhen Qing Chun. Looking at the girl in front of him, there was a slight fluctuation in the depths of his inverted triangular eyes. After which, he smiled and said, Girl, since you call me Brother Qing Chun, why don't you become my sworn sister? I just don't know if you are willing. Yorua greets Brother Qing Chun. A smile appeared on Murong Yorua's beautiful face. She immediately bowed. She knew what kind of person the person before her was. Ha! Zhen Qing Chun smiled and helped Murong Yorua up. Do whatever you want in the future. I'm here for you. Thank you, Brother Qing Chun. Murong Yorua was grateful. She knew that the middle-aged man before her was helping her and becoming her pillar of support. Silly girl. Zhen Qing Chun smiled and walked a few steps to the edge of the mountain peak. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the sky with a serious expression. Then, a chill flashed in the depths of his wretched but charming eyes. He said softly, he needs to be strong. Not only himself, but also those around him. In the future, he won't be facing one person, but a group of people from that clan. If he isn't strong, he won't be able to dig out his heart a second time. Time flowed like water. As Du Xiaofu returned to the ancient heaven sect, spring passed and autumn came. 2 cycles had already passed. Amidst the lush green mountains, strange flowers, and towering trees, there was a tinge of reddish-yellow color. The barren mountain had appeared in the ancient golden space, hanging on the top of two huge mountain peaks. It had already been a year since it appeared. Time quietly passed, but many people in the ancient heaven sect were burning with anxiety. However, none of them could do anything about Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was still immersed in front of the ancient stone tablet. Ever since he opened his eyes for 10 days a few months ago, he had not opened them again. During this period, the area around the barren mountain had become a forbidden area of the ancient heaven sect. Apart from a few people like Elder Gu Qingyang, even many elders of the ancient heaven sect were forbidden from getting too close. However, all the disciples of the ancient heaven sect knew that Du Xiaofu was meditating in front of the stone tablet. He seemed to be comprehending something. Even outside the ancient heaven sect, there was a lot of news that Du Xiaofu, the demon king, had been in seclusion in the ancient heaven sect during the 2 years he had disappeared. In a vast and ancient space, there was an independent world. The mountains were lush green, and there were many ancient buildings with exquisite carvings. A lone peak stood tall, covered in lush green vegetation. The sky was blue and vast. A woman in a green dress stood on the mountain peak. She was only 21 or 22 years old. Her dress fluttered in the wind, and her black hair fell to her perky buttocks. The outline of her exquisite face revealed an otherworldly aura. Chapter 1007. The woman's beautiful figure stood there. On her otherworldly face, her ethereal eyes twinkled like stars as she stared at a certain spot in the sky. She was in a daze for a long time. Only when night fell did she raise her head slightly. The corners of her red lips trembled slightly as she softly muttered, "You didn't tell me, but did you really think that I wouldn't know?" As her voice fell, the woman's hand seals condensed, and her entire body was wrapped in runes. Then, from her chest, a smear of faint golden blood was spat out from her red lips. Puchi, this blood wrapped around the symbols. It was not ordinary blood, but essence blood. The blood was wrapped by the rune on her delicate palm. Then, she rubbed it between her eyebrows. As the seal formed, a ray of light shot out from between the woman's eyebrows and exploded into a dazzling light on the mountain peak. Walala, a large number of dazzling runes rippled in the air, causing the space to rustle. Those dazzling runes were obscure and complicated, emitting dazzling light that seemed both real and illusory. This light was like the bright moon, but also like the roiling clouds of morning dew, flickering indeterminately. However, within this light, there was a terrifying fluctuation and an unparalleled aura that intertwined with each other. In the end, it was as if a painting of the void had been pulled open in front of the mountain. Within the scroll, there was a young boy in a small border city who had been mocked and ridiculed since he was a child. After that, the young man sat alone on the barren mountain, enduring all the mockery and ridicule. Occasionally, he would smile, showing his indifference to all the mockery and ridicule. The youth grew up. Occasionally, he would travel through the wilderness with a sloppy, white-haired old man. They would catch fish and roast meat, and he would smile innocently. Under the ancient stone tablet, the young man comprehended it. In the depths of the mountain range, he was held hostage and was in great danger. In the end, he obtained the bones of the golden-winged great rock. Entering Lanling Prefecture City, entering Tianwu Academy, and venturing into the dark forest. In the Stone Dragon Empire, before becoming a king, he had already slain a king. The destruction of Tianwu Academy infuriated the young man. He brandished his sword and started a massacre before entering the ancient heaven sect. The scenes in the painting changed rapidly. The young man's life appeared before the woman's eyes, causing her to frown, smile, and feel her heart ache. She even shed tears, allowing them to flow down her cheeks. Only a few people in this world were able to see her tears. Originally, there was no such thing as empathy in this world. However, at this moment, this woman was able to feel it. It was as if those scenes had fused into her soul, and she was truly experiencing it herself. In this familiar place, that boy had grown into a young man. In this familiar place, he had once caused havoc everywhere, and in the end, he had been surrounded by countless experts. Above the void, the young man floated in midair, his pair of golden eyes were sharp and frightening. He pointed his sword and shouted, "You just want my heart. You are just afraid that my sister and my mother won't want my heart." After saying that, the purple-robed young man slowly put down the broadsword in his hand. He sighed slightly and looked at the sky. The woman could feel the young man's silent anger, helplessness, worry, and longing in his eyes that could pierce through the picture scroll. "My little sister, although I haven't met her yet, she is still my little sister. How can I not save her? Why do you have to deceive me like this? First, I want my father to be with my mother and younger sister. Secondly, I want the boundless tree." The young man's voice echoed in the painting. In the end, his eyes were filled with reluctance, disappointment, and complicated emotions. Then, he muttered something, and the corners of his mouth curved into a bitter smile. Looking at the sky around him, he was silent for a while, as if he was in a daze. "Mother, sister, I think we won't be able to see each other again in this life. I have too many things that I can't accept, too many things that I can't do. Master's task, the clan's expectations, I can't accept it. Sister, in the future, please complete them for me, okay?" The woman seemed to be able to faintly hear the young man's words. Pain, it was very painful, it was an indescribable pain. Hearing the purple-robed young man's words, the woman's face was covered in tears. She couldn't tell if this was an illusion or reality. She softly sobbed and waved her hand to stop him. No, no, but the purple-robed young man couldn't stop her. Golden light jumped out from his body, and the golden light shined brightly. His already cracked body was once again covered in golden blood, as if his body was about to explode. Golden light was about to seep out of his body, and the purple-robed young man's chest directly cracked open. Golden light shot out, accompanied by mysterious runes, and supreme pressure spread out. "Sister, you have to be good. Be filial to my parents for me, and protect my clan for me." As the purple-robed young man finished speaking, his right hand pierced into the crack in his chest like a claw, and a dazzling golden light burst out. "Mother, sister, I want to see you. I want to reunite with my family, but I can't do it. Forgive me." A thunderous roar reverberated in the air as a faint golden and blood-red heart appeared in the purple-robed young man's palm. This heart was beating powerfully like a drum, and it emitted a bright light. It was full of vitality, and a terrifying aura rushed into the sky. Sizzle! At this moment, blood splashed out from the purple-robed young man's chest. The blood was a faint golden color, and it was crystal clear. It was beautiful, but it looked so sad, like it was the last of its beauty. Blood flowed out from the young man's chest, but there was a smile on his face. At this moment, the heart in the woman's chest was beating violently, as if it was about to break out of her body. Pain, intense pain, as if a knife was being twisted in her heart. She felt the pain of having her heart dug out. Tears flowed down her cheeks like torrents. "Big brother, don't. The eyes of the woman in green were already blood-red, and her body trembled. She couldn't endure it anymore, so she let out a cry and threw herself at the scroll. However, the mysterious runes on the talisman soon dissipated, and the picture scroll disappeared in midair. Puchi, the woman spat out a mouthful of blood, and her body fell from the sky. Sigh, a sigh echoed, and Elder Ming's figure appeared. He supported the woman in green in the air, and his eyes were filled with helplessness as he sighed endlessly. "Elder Ming, why did you do this? Why did you kill my big brother?" The woman's body trembled. She didn't know why, but at this moment, she was extremely weak, and she fainted. In the ancient heaven sect, the bright moon was hanging in the dark blue night sky, and the moonlight was like a bright white blade. On the barren mountain, the young man in front of the stone tablet suddenly felt his chest tremble. He raised his head, and his tightly closed eyes suddenly opened. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes, and they were like lightning that shot into the sky. Boom! At the same time, the faintly discernible and complicated cracks on the ancient stone tablet suddenly began to overflow with light. The cracks were rapidly widening, and the entire barren mountain was shaking at this moment. Crack crack, the speed at which the stone tablet cracked became faster and faster, and the cracks on the ancient stone tablet became bigger and bigger. The light that spread out from the cracks also became more and more dazzling, as if it had turned into a curtain of light that enveloped the purple-robed young man. Rumble, then, the entire ancient stone tablet suddenly cracked, and turned into a pile of gravel and powder. At the same time, the barren mountain floating above the two peaks also began to crack. In the end, as the earth shook, it turned into gravel and sand that poured down from the two towering peaks. The huge commotion woke up countless auras. Swoosh swoosh, many figures flew over from all over the ancient heaven sect, and they were the first to arrive. More and more figures were still coming. Under the moonlight, everyone watched as the barren mountain and stone tablet in front of them shattered into gravel. Everyone looked at the purple-robed young man who had opened his eyes in surprise. At this moment, the purple-robed young man was quietly standing in the void, looking up at the sky. Other than the flickering light in his eyes, he seemed to be in a daze. "What's wrong with Junior Brother? Something seems wrong." In the distance, an old man with an ancient sword on his back looked at the purple-robed young man in surprise. "Something seems wrong, but I can't put my finger on it," Gu Qingyang said softly. At this moment, his eyes were slightly focused. He looked at his disciple who had been silent for 2 years, and he had been worried about him. Junior Brother can't have gone mad, right? Suddenly, the old man with the sword on his back looked at the purple-robed young man. The faint aura made his heart tremble. It was very violent. Hearing this, Elder Gu Qingyang's eyes trembled, and he became more and more worried. "I'll go check on Junior Brother," the old man said, and then he rushed out. "Be careful," Gu Qingyang said to the old man. "Master, I'll be careful." The old man was touched. It was rare for his master to show so much concern for him. "I'm telling you to be careful of your Junior Brother. Don't disturb him," Gu Qingyang said to the old man without holding back. "I know," the touched expression on the old man's face instantly disappeared. Then, he helplessly looked at Elder Gu Qingyang and nodded. He felt wronged as he muttered, "We're both disciples, but the treatment is too different." Whoosh, as he muttered to himself, the old man's figure soared through the air and approached Du Xiaofu. His expression gradually became more focused. The closer he got, the more surprised the old man was. The purple-robed young man did not have any aura, but at this moment, he could feel an aura that made his heart tremble. That aura was like the ancestor of all weapons. It was like a sword, a spear, a rod, and a knife. That aura was extremely sharp. At this moment, the purple-robed young man stood quietly. However, he gave off the feeling that he was a silent divine weapon, like a suppressed volcano that could erupt at any time. Chapter 1008. Little Junior Brother. The elder called out softly as he slowly approached. Buzz! Suddenly, the surrounding space trembled. The silent purple-robed youth's eyes suddenly exploded with golden light. His entire body overflowed with golden light, illuminating the night sky. Suddenly, the purple-robed youth's hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes shone with golden light, faintly containing lightning. At this moment, he was extremely domineering and fierce. At this moment, the purple-robed youth seemed to have fused with a strange state. His body and mind were one, pushing himself to a peak. Whoosh! The purple-robed youth waved his hand. At this moment, his entire body seemed to have transformed into a human-shaped sword. With a wave of his hand, a sword ray immediately swept out. This sword light caused the void to tremble as it slashed forward. It was like a bolt of golden lightning that illuminated the void. Buzz buzz. At this moment, as the sword ray slashed out, it was as if a heavenly thunder had exploded in the sky. It shook the entire ancient heaven sect, and the surrounding mountains buzzed with wind and thunder. Oh no! The elder's expression changed drastically. The sword ray that came slashing down was obviously extremely simple. It could not be any simpler. However, the sword ray at this moment was something that he could not dodge at all. It was as if no matter how he dodged, he could not escape. It even made him fearful for no reason. The ancient sword on his back was unsheathed. The elder's face was covered in cold sweat. Then, the sword ray in his hand quickly swept out as he activated the holy sword roar. One after another, the complex and profound sword moves finally converged together and transformed into a sword, which instantly spread out with the speed of lightning. This sword ray contained the power to move mountains and seas. It was enough to shake mountains and rivers, collapse mountains and crack the earth, and destroy everything. The elder was Elder Gu Qingyang's eldest disciple and was also the strongest disciple. Compared to Elder Gu Qingyang, he was a few decades younger. He had cultivated for more than 200 years and was at the peak of the mysterious martial honorable realm. Boom! Suddenly, the two sword rays collided, and dazzling talisman runes exploded. The sound was like a sudden clap of thunder that shook the entire ancient heaven sect. It was clearly a collision of sword rays, but at this moment, there was the sound of rolling thunder, and a loud rumble reverberated. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the old man's holy sword roared and was destroyed by that simple sword strike as if it was nothing more than rotten wood. A terrifying aura rushed into the sky. Dazzling lightning fluctuations, more blazing than fire and more dazzling than lightning. It contained a terrifying sword intent. Sword way of the sword. The purple-robed youth's sword shadow sword art. The sword rays sword broke the elder's sword. This was not a sword, but a sword's way of the sword. It was close and there was nowhere to hide. Why is it so? How is it? This is it. The ancient sword art. His martial honorable celestial martial honorable martial his martial god realm s's. The junior brother s is the junior sword junior. The sword red sword, the sword chi la. The sword light fell, and the ancient sword Dao artifact in the elder's hand was directly destroyed. The sword intent shook the void, and there was a strange roar of thunder. Just the fluctuation of the aura and the sound were so terrifying that it was impossible to resist. Chi, blood dripped from the corner of the elder's mouth. The sword light was already in front of him, and he was about to suffer a great disaster. Retreat. A sword light stretched out from behind the elder and blocked the sword shadow of the purple-robed youth. A white figure appeared behind the old man. It was Elder Gu Qingyang. He twisted the void and pulled the old man away at the same time. Chi la la, the two sword lights collided, and there was a terrifying fluctuation in the void. Several huge mountains in the surroundings were immediately affected. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the mountains shook, and then they collapsed. In the mountains, large cracks appeared on the ground. Dust filled the air, and gravel flew into the sky. Then everything disappeared, and the surroundings became calm. All of this shocked the disciples and powerhouses of the ancient sky sect who had gathered around. The elder in question stared at his junior brother in the distance, and there was surprise and shock in his eyes. He had used his hand as a sword, but he had nearly killed a peak mysterious martial honorable like him with that simple sword strike. This kind of sword intent was too terrifying, so valiant, so powerful. Many of the ancient sky sect's elders were shocked and gasped. What a domineering and terrifying sword intent. In the void, Sima Taxing stood surrounded by many powerhouses. He looked at the purple-robed youth not far away, and there was deep shock in his glassy eyes. In the void, as the sword light disappeared, Du Xiaofu, who had been in a daze, gradually recovered. An ancient aura swept out from his body. His purple robe and hair fluttered, and the surrounding space trembled. Huff! A mouthful of turbid air was spat out from his throat, and a faint smile appeared on his resolute face as he muttered, "So it turns out that it's not a move, but a Dao. The first stone tablet is force, and this stone tablet is Bing." Du Xiaofu seemed to have turned a deaf ear to the many figures that had gathered around him after his voice softly sounded. He lifted his head slightly, and an invisible force seemed to be drawn from his body, like a suppressed volcano that was being pulled, and began to slowly spread out. At that moment, the stars in the sky under the night sky were also attracted, and some stars were about to fall. The Milky Way in the sky rippled, and the starlight flickered. There was a vast power of the stars, like a tide, that descended from the ninth heaven, and then shrouded the mountains of the ancient sky sect. At that moment, all the disciples of the ancient sky sect could feel that a terrifying aura, like a volcanic eruption, was quietly beginning to surge. Then, in an instant, it spread out in all directions. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying golden light burst out from the purple-robed youth's body, and the golden light was boundless. I entered the Tao with weapon, and became a martial venerable with the overbearing sword path. Break! The golden light spread out and shot out. As his shout fell, Du Xiaofu suddenly stomped his foot in the void, and a loud shout from his mouth echoed through the night sky. Whoosh! The golden light was dazzling, and in the golden light, the shadow of a huge golden-winged rock appeared. It flapped its wings and rushed into the sky, as if it was going to soar into the sky. Screech! The sound waves pierced through the clouds, and the golden-winged rock spread its wings. Its whole body was shining with golden light, and with the whistling of thunder, its ferocious aura spread out, causing the whole space to tremble. Under the terrifying golden-winged rock's shadow, a golden five-fingered mountain peak appeared again. It absorbed the endless energy of heaven and earth, and released a dazzling golden light. An endless aura swept across the sky. Rumble! Suddenly, in the mountains of the ancient sky sect, the earth rumbled, and the continuous mountain peaks trembled. All the disciples of the ancient sky sect who were watching all of this trembled violently. The meridians and souls in their bodies trembled, and their blood froze. As the golden-winged rock's shadow and the five-fingered mountain peak's shadow appeared, a majestic aura rose from the purple-robed youth's body like a volcanic eruption, and it shocked the powerhouses of the ancient sky sect. It's Du Xiaofu who is breaking through. At this moment, all the elders and protectors of the ancient sky sect trembled. Xiaofu is fine. He's breaking through. Elder Gu Qingyang's eyes were filled with excitement. His disciple was fine, and it seemed that he had obtained a great opportunity in front of the stone tablet and was breaking through. The golden-winged rock's shadow shook the nine heavens, and the five-fingered mountain peak's shadow suppressed all living things. The two most terrifying auras spread out, causing the legs of the surrounding people to go soft. In addition, at this moment, some powerhouses were surprised to see that the purple-robed youth's body was still covered in purple flames. Lightning flashed, and his aura was shocking. Rumble! The surrounding night sky was distorted, and in the terrifying aura above the Milky Way, countless stars seemed to fall, and finally gathered into rays of starlight. The dazzling starlight gathered into a torrent of star energy, which fell from the depths of the night sky, passed through layers of space barriers, and finally poured into the purple-robed youth's body. The starlight spread out, and the seemingly gentle aura made people's souls tremble. The tall and straight purple-robed youth's body was like a bottomless pit at this moment, swallowing an endless amount of star energy. There was also a vast aura spreading out from his body like an erupting volcano. Then, some people saw an illusory figure appear on the terrifying golden-winged rock's shadow. The figure was exactly the same as Du Xiaofu's body. It was another Du Xiaofu, but the figure was illusory, and there was a vast and terrifying aura coming from the illusory Du Xiaofu's body. That aura. It's a martial honor. Feeling the terrifying aura, Yin Machen, Xiang Ling, Shui Ruhan, Si Ruofeng, and the others who were gathered nearby were instantly dumbfounded. Junior brother is breaking through to martial honor. The old man whose ancient sword Du Xiaofu had broken took a deep breath, and his voice trembled as he felt the terrifying aura. What a terrifying aura. Martial Uncle Do's aura is probably not something that many of the Manchu elders can compare to. Martial Uncle Do seems to be breaking through to martial honor. I can't believe it. Martial Uncle Do is younger than some of us, but he's already a martial honor. Nonsense, Martial Uncle Do is a paragon sky pride, and no one in the same generation as him can compare to him. How can we compare to him? Discussions broke out all around. Countless disciples were dumbfounded, and they were shocked by the terrifying aura. Chapter 1009. Translator, Nyoebo Studio Editor, Nyoebo Studio Translator, Nyoebo Studio Editor, Nyoebo Studio. The golden winged rock and the five-finger mountain hovered in the sky. Purple flames surged and lightning arcs filled the sky. A mighty pressure filled the ancient heaven sect. Under this mighty pressure, even the experts of the ancient heaven sect were shocked. Many of the elders began to feel weak in the knees. Shocked whispers could be heard from the surrounding disciples. Martial Uncle Do was not old, but he had already stepped into the Zun stage. As a disciple of the ancient heaven sect, all of the youths had their own pride. Even the most extraordinary Yin Machen, Xiang Ling, Shui Ruhan, and the others also had their own pride. However, compared to the purple-robed youth, their pride was not even worth mentioning. He should be the first person in the central continent to break through to the honorable realm at such a young age. Shock was written all over Elder Hu Sankuan's face. His primordial spirit is still strengthening. He has broken through to the honorable realm in martial arts and has stepped into the 8-star talisman Dao. In the sky, Gu Qingyang, Sima taking Xing, Protector Hao, and the others were floating in the air. Elder Gu Qingyang's gaze was fixed on the illusory figure of the golden-winged Great Peng that was continuously growing stronger. He could not help but cry out in surprise again. At that moment, everyone could feel that the aura of the illusory figure was still growing stronger. It was breaking through to the martial saint level, and its talisman Dao was continuing to break through to the 8 stars. This kid is really abnormal. How did Martial Uncle Qingyang accept him into the ancient heaven sect? Sima taking nodded secretly. His glassy eyes could not help but flash with excitement. He had stepped into the martial honorable realm and the 8-star talisman master at such a young age. Back then, he had only barely stepped into the martial honorable realm after the age of 30 because he had received many benefits. However, he had the entire ancient heaven sect's foundation and resources to support him. That guy has already reached the peak of the martial royal realm and the peak of the 7-star talisman master. This time, he seems to have obtained a real divine ability in front of the stone tablet. He has also obtained an opportunity to break through in one fell swoop. A figure with golden light appeared. It was the Honorable Golden Rock. Greetings, Elder. Greetings, Uncle Master. With the appearance of the venerable Golden Rock, Gu Qingyang, many elders, and Sima taking Xing immediately saluted. They were surprised that the venerable Golden Rock was also attracted. The venerable Golden Rock waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to rise. His eyes were fixed on the Golden Rock's shadow in the sky. His eyes were filled with shock. Then, he looked at the rolling purple flames, the thunder and lightning, and the energy of the stars. He smiled and said, "This kid is very lucky. Once he breaks through to the venerable realm, he will be able to amaze the world." He. Hearing that even the venerable Golden Rock was praising his precious disciple, Elder Gu Qingyang smiled proudly at the side, feeling extremely comfortable in his heart. While everyone was still in shock, the star energy that was pouring down from the sky finally calmed down after an hour. Then, even the Golden Rock wing shadow, the 5-finger mountain shadow, and everything else disappeared. The mighty pressure that filled the sky also quickly dissipated. In everyone's eyes, the illusory figure was still faintly golden. At this moment, it was rippling with unparalleled spiritual energy. Newly ascended martial honor, an 8-star spiritual symbol master. countless shocked voices could not help but reverberate in the surrounding mountains. An 8-star spiritual symbol master, but the primordial spirit is comparable to an ordinary 8-star mysterious spiritual symbol master or even an 8-star Permetha spiritual symbol master. That ancient aura is even more strange and shocking. The venerable golden rock looked at the illusory Du Xiaofu. Deep in his eyes, which were rippling with golden light, there was a trace of shock. Qi. The illusory Du Xiaofu's figure then turned into a stream of light and rushed into the body of the venerable golden rock. A moment later, the purple-robed young man, who was floating in the air, finally opened his eyes. A golden lightning glow, accompanied by purple flames and starlight, rippled in the depths of his eyes. In an instant, it was retracted. After which, his eyes became clear and bright, to the point that one could not even feel the fluctuation of his aura. However, it was this calmness that made the surrounding ancient heaven sect disciples feel an inexplicable pressure. Those clear eyes seemed to be able to make people's souls tremble with just a glance. Huff! In the sky, Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of turbid air. He stretched his body, which had not moved for 2 years. At this moment, his bones and joints were like rusty steel, emitting a mechanical ka-ka sound. A comfortable feeling that he had never felt before spread out from his body. Martial Sovereign, 8-star spiritual symbol master. As his mind swept through his body, he felt the vast profound qi in his body and the spiritual energy in his Naiwan palace. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. With this kind of strength, it was no wonder that countless people were chasing after it. Even after spending their entire lives, they only wanted to open the door to the martial sovereign realm. Boom! As he clenched his fist, the space above his palm distorted. That was the profound qi that had surged to the peak and gathered together. It could distort and even shatter space. It was like the speed that had reached the extreme. It could make people seem extremely slow, or even still. I wonder what will happen if I encounter a Nirvana martial sovereign. I'm really looking forward to it. Du Xiaofu muttered in his heart as he felt the strength in his body. It should be easy for him to shatter the profound qi of a martial sovereign. Under normal circumstances, he would be able to destroy the profound qi of an ordinary martial sovereign. However, he did not know what would happen if he encountered a Nirvana martial sovereign. After all, in the martial sovereign realm, a small realm had a huge gap. That gap was even bigger than the gap between the postnatal realm and the martial sovereign realm. At this moment, what made Du Xiaofu happy was not that he had the cultivation of a martial sovereign, but that he had finally reached the martial sovereign realm. Back then, when he walked out of the stone city, the martial sovereign realm was an untouchable existence in his heart. It was so far away that he could not touch it. But now, he had reached it. I still have to have a dream. What if it comes true? Du Xiaofu smiled and loosened his palm. The distorted space above his palm then calmed down and returned to normal. At this moment, the martial sovereign realm was only a dream in his heart. It was not his final goal. There was no end to being an expert. After reaching a certain level, Du Xiaofu deeply understood that the martial sovereign realm was only the staircase to a true expert. Qi. In Du Xiaofu's thoughts, there were many whooshing sounds. Then, several figures appeared beside Du Xiaofu. Xiaofu, you almost worried your master to death. It's good that you're fine. Elder Gu Qingyang stepped forward. Although he was happy for his disciple's breakthrough, he had also worried a lot over the past 2 years. Disciple has made master worried. Looking at his master's 2 front teeth and his ruddy old face, Du Xiaofu felt a warmth crawl into his heart. Although his master did not teach him much about his cultivation, his care and protection made Du Xiaofu's heart feel the most warm. It's a good thing to have a breakthrough, but you better explain to me what's going on with that stone tablet. That's an important treasure of the ancient heaven sect. The smile on Sima Ta Xing's face disappeared. His glassy eyes stared at Du Xiaofu. The barren mountain and the stone tablet had turned into rubble. The ancient stone tablet was indeed a treasure of the ancient heaven sect. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu turned his head and looked at the rubble that had turned into a mountain. For a moment, his expression was awkward, and he did not know what to say. Sect Master, this is not Xiaofu's doing. It was an accident. It has nothing to do with your junior brother Xiaofu. Elder Gu Qingyang said to Sima Ta Xing with a smile, speaking good words for his precious disciple. Martial uncle. Then you're really a good martial uncle of the ancient heaven sect. Sima Ta Xing was speechless and felt helpless. The martial uncle in front of him was really a good martial uncle of the ancient heaven sect. He then looked at Du Xiaofu and said, let's discuss something alone. A moment later, under the night sky, in Sima Ta Xing's courtyard. What kind of ability is contained in that stone tablet? Why are you the only one who can comprehend it? In the small hall, Sima Ta Xing asked Du Xiaofu. At this moment, only Sima Ta Xing and Du Xiaofu were in the small hall. The stone tablet contains a kind of weapon Dao. I don't know its origin, but I know that it's profound and vast. It's a fusion of 10,000 weapons. Chapter 10:10. Du Xiaofu did not hide much. He told Sima Taxing everything he knew. The ancient stone tablet in the golden ancient space contained the way of soldiers. It was all-encompassing and boundless. It seemed to be able to break all sword techniques, saber techniques, spear techniques, and so on. The expert in the ancient sky sect had comprehended the bright saint sword manual from it. It was definitely a great talent. At that moment, Du Xiaofu had comprehended the way of the sword from it. In the end, he had fused it with his incomplete way of the hegemon sword and had finally reached the beginner level. Because of that, he had found an opportunity to become a martial saint. When Du Xiaofu had cultivated the bright saint sword manual, he had felt a sense of déjà vu. Only now did he know that it had something to do with the first stone tablet. The first stone tablet contained force. It was a kind of force that included all fist techniques, palm techniques, finger techniques, and so on. It could break all techniques with force, but it was not just one force that could defeat 10 techniques. It was far more vast than one force that could defeat 10 techniques. The way of soldiers contained in the stone tablet is vast. I have only comprehended a little now. I can't explain it clearly. Du Xiaofu did not hide anything from Sima Taxing. He then said, I can comprehend it. I don't know the reason. Maybe it's because I'm lucky. Du Xiaofu couldn't say that he had comprehended a stone tablet when he was in Stone City's Du family. He could only casually come up with a reason. Sima Taxing did not seem to believe Du Xiaofu's reason. However, he could not find any loopholes. He looked at Du Xiaofu in disbelief. He knew very well what benefits Du Xiaofu had obtained from the stone tablet. That sword essence had almost caused senior brother Jian Santong to suffer a great disaster. Sima Taxing's eyes moved slightly. He then said to Du Xiaofu, I don't care what the reason is. The stone tablet has been broken and you have obtained the benefits. You can't take it for free. Senior brother sect master, no matter how you look at it, I'm still a disciple of the ancient heaven sect. It's only right for a disciple of the ancient heaven sect to receive benefits from the ancient heaven sect. Du Xiaofu's eyes turned, and a smile appeared on his face. He was all smiles. Hearing this, Sima Taxing Xing was a little stunned. He was really speechless. At this moment, looking at Du Xiaofu's smiling face, Sima Taxing Xing had an illusion that this kid and martial uncle Gu Qingyang were not from the same family. Even if they were not from the same family, their smiles were the same, with a sinister smile. What's the use of them looking for people who have spiritual thunder? Du Xiaofu asked doubtfully. He already knew about this. His master, the the venerable tool master, had the 3,000 repelling thunders, so he was targeted by the people of the devil religion. Sima Taxing Xing looked at Du Xiaofu and shook his head, saying, "We don't know about this. At least we don't know yet. The devil religion is too mysterious, but there should be some news in the near future." The devil religion is really mysterious. Du Xiaofu sighed slightly. The devil religion was even more mysterious than he had imagined. It was a pity that the ancient heaven sect did not know about the devil religion and its origin. The world is about to be in chaos. There is no doubt about this. Sima Taxing Xing sternly said to Du Xiaofu, "I'll make a long story short. Boy, are you willing to be the next patriarch of the ancient heaven sect?" The next patriarch. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly trembled and he was stunned. This news really shocked Du Xiaofu. He looked at Sima Taxing Xing with a dumbfounded expression. "What? Didn't you hear clearly? As long as you are willing, you can immediately become the next patriarch of the ancient heaven sect." Sima Taxing Xing rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. If others heard such news, they would definitely be pleasantly surprised and excited, but the boy in front of him seemed to only be shocked. Gulp, Du Xiaofu swallowed his saliva. In the central province, no one could refuse the position of the patriarch of the ancient heaven sect. The patriarch of one of the 9 great influences could make the entire central province tremble with a stomp of his feet. Du Xiaofu was moved. If he really became the patriarch of the ancient heaven sect, he could use a terrifying force and foundation for his own use, and even deal with that clan. At present, the world society was far from being comparable to the ancient heaven sect. What? You don't want to? Sima Taxing Xing looked at the expression on Du Xiaofu's face and frowned slightly. The patriarch of the ancient heaven sect is really tempting. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly and looked at his senior brother Sima Taxing Xing. He said, "But I'm afraid I'm not up to the task." "Senior brother, are you really at ease to hand over the ancient heaven sect to me? Don't talk nonsense. The emperor of the barren country, the president of the world society, and the leader of the world alliance. Even if you become the patriarch of the ancient heaven sect now, you're still up to the task." Sima Taxing Xing rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. That guy could become the president of the world society at such a young age. At such a young age, he was able to bring the group of bloodthirsty people from the dark forest into the world society and make them extremely obedient. Chapter 10-11. To tell you the truth, this decision was not made by me alone. Many of the great elders of the Manchu have already agreed. As long as you are willing, you can even become the master of the ancient heaven sect immediately, Sima Taxing continued. Du Xiaofu pondered for a while with a wry smile on his face. Then, he solemnly bowed to Sima Taxing and said, "I thank senior brother and the great elders of the Manchu for thinking so highly of me, but I can't agree. Because you are the lord of the 7-star hall and feel that the 7-star hall is stronger than the ancient heaven sect?" Sima Taxing frowned slightly. Du Xiaofu shook his head and said to Sima Taxing, "Although I don't know how strong the ancient heaven sect is, I can feel that the true strength of the ancient heaven sect is much stronger than the 7-star hall. Although I am the young lord of the 7-star hall, I don't know if I will become the lord of the 7-star hall. I have never thought about it." "Why is that?" Sima Taxing was a little puzzled. There was some curiosity in his eyes. "There is no end to the strong. I am focused on cultivation. I am afraid that I will be powerless to take care of such a large ancient heaven sect." Du Xiaofu knew very well what he needed. Even if he obtained the entire ancient heaven sect, he was afraid that he would not be able to compete with that clan. A true powerhouse was strong in himself. Du Xiaofu had always known this. Moreover, even if he became the sect master of the ancient heaven sect, it was not certain that the ancient heaven sect would be able to keep its word. With the ancient heaven sect's foundation, there must be a group of hidden experts in the ancient heaven sect. They were the true strength of the ancient heaven sect, and also the true masters of the ancient heaven sect. Compared to the ancient heaven sect, Du Xiaofu was more intimate with the seven-star hall. The seven lords were all his senior uncles, which made Du Xiaofu feel more at ease. Becoming the lord of the ancient heaven sect was definitely a temptation that no young person in the Central Plains could refuse. Du Xiaofu was the same. Therefore, when he heard Sima taxing it, he was really surprised. As a young man, it was impossible for him to remain unmoved. He was even a little excited. But after careful consideration and taking a deep breath, Du Xiaofu knew that what he needed now was not the position of the lord of the ancient heaven sect. That he was the lord of the ancient heaven sect was the lord of the ancient heaven sect. If you become the lord of the ancient heaven sect, you will be able to cultivate wholeheartedly. Only the lord of the ancient heaven sect can cultivate some of the top methods and divine abilities of the ancient heaven sect, obtain the treasures of the entire ancient heaven sect, and use the foundation of the entire ancient heaven sect for your own use. With your talent, it will be enough for your strength to grow again in a short period of time. I can guarantee that. Sima Taxing said affirmatively. His eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu. The young man in front of him had truly moved Sima Taxing from the bottom of his heart. My strength will grow again in a short period of time. There was a blazing color in his clear eyes. For Du Xiaofu, this was an irresistible temptation. It was also what he needed the most. Even if you become the lord of the ancient heaven sect, the ancient heaven sect will not let you worry too much. For now, you only need to cultivate wholeheartedly, and I will help you take care of the ancient heaven sect. Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu and said softly, how about it? As long as you nod your head now, you can become the lord of the ancient heaven sect. In a short period of time, your strength will increase again. In the future, the entire ancient heaven sect will be your strongest backing. A moment later, Du Xiaofu said to Sima Taxing Star with a wry smile, it's really a great temptation. I really can't refuse. His eyes even turned red. You agree? Sima Taxing Star asked with a smile. No, Du Xiaofu smiled and shook his head. He then looked at Sima Taxing Star and said, I am a disciple of the ancient heaven sect. This will always be the case. As long as the ancient heaven sect does not expel me, I will always be a disciple of the ancient heaven sect. However, right now, the position of lord is not suitable for me. If one day, senior brother really wants to give the ancient heaven sect to me, then I will definitely not refuse. At that time, it won't be your turn. Do you think the lord of the ancient heaven sect is so worthless that you need to ask others to do it? Sima Taxing Star glared at Du Xiaofu before looking at Du Xiaofu. He took a deep breath and said, okay, it seems like you really have no interest in becoming the lord of the ancient heaven sect. How about this, let's talk about some serious matters. What is your current status in the 7-star hall? Senior uncles and senior uncles have taken great care of me. Du Xiaofu said. He thought about how Kuang Zun, Yu Xianzi, Zi Tianzuan, and Qian Xing treated him like a disciple. Sima Taxing Star continued to ask, as for the future lord of the 7-star hall, have the seniors, Kuang Zun, and Fairy Yun ever intended to give the 7-star hall to you? Senior uncles and senior uncles have inadvertently mentioned it, but, of course they have that intention. Sima Taxing Star interrupted Du Xiaofu and told Du Xiaofu, brat, from now on, the two of us will no longer be brothers. I am the lord of the ancient heaven sect and you are the president of the world society, the ruler of the desolate country, and the young lord of the 7-star hall. Du Xiaofu felt the serious expressions of his senior brother and senior brother Sima Taxing Star, so he became serious again and said, Senior brother, if you have something to say, then please say it. The world is about to fall into chaos. When the time comes, not only will the central province be in turmoil, but the entire world will be in turmoil. Sima Taxing Star sighed and said, so the ancient heaven sect intends to form an alliance with your world society, the desolate country, and the 7-star hall? An alliance with my desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall. Du Xiaofu was surprised. It was understandable that the Ancient Heavens sect and the Seven-Star Hall wanted to form an alliance, but the desolate country and the World Society were not enough for the Ancient Heavens sect to form an alliance. Yes, after we form an alliance, we will advance and retreat together. I think you should have enough trust in the Ancient Heavens sect, but there is one thing. After we form an alliance, the Ancient Heavens sect will be in charge. The desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall will be in charge. Sima Taxing Star said to Du Xiaofu. I can represent the desolate country and the World Society, but I can't represent the Seven-Star Hall. After all, the Seven-Star Hall is currently under my eldest martial uncle's control. Du Xiaofu said while pondering. The Ancient Heavens sect took the initiative to form an alliance with him. This was a good thing for the World Society and the desolate country. However, he really couldn't make the decision for the Seven-Star Hall. Sima Taxing Star said, I believe that with your identity as the young Hall Master of the Seven-Star Hall, you can represent the Seven-Star Hall. I believe that this is absolutely beneficial to the Seven-Star Hall. Even if Senior Kuang Zun is unwilling, the Ancient Heavens sect can only form an alliance with the World Society and the desolate country. Forming an alliance is not a problem. I also have absolute faith in the Ancient Heavens sect. At least, I am also a disciple of the Ancient Heavens sect. Du Xiaofu pondered for a while. Then, he looked at Sima Taxing Star with a slight flicker of light in his clear eyes. He smiled faintly and said, however, in the future, the Ancient Heavens sect will be the main force. The desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall will be secondary. I'm afraid that even if I agree, my eldest martial uncle Kuang Zun will not agree. Brat, if you can come up with conditions or strength that can move me, we can discuss this matter separately. Otherwise, the Ancient Heavens sect will be the main force. We will form an alliance and advance together. For now, you have a great advantage. Sima Taxing Star rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. This brat was really hard to satisfy. He had given him an inch and wanted a mile. Senior brother sect master, we are not talking about the identity of brothers now. I won't be polite with this brat. Du Xiaofu looked at Sima Taxing Star. There was no smile on his face. The invisible aura of a superior surged from his body. He was like a supreme youth, causing Sima Taxing Star to be secretly moved. If we form an alliance, not only will the Ancient Heavens sect not be the main force, but the ancient golden space, silver space, and bronze space must all be open to the disciples of the desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall. Of course, this can be done according to the rules of the Ancient Heavens sect. Otherwise, the desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall will not form an alliance with the Ancient Heavens sect. Brat, are you okay? You have to know that in this world, everything depends on strength. Although you are my junior brother and martial uncle Qingyang's disciple, you have to know that the desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall do not have the strength to bargain with the Ancient Heavens sect. Sima Taxing Star looked at Du Xiaofu. His glass-like eyes sharpened a little. There was even some worry and disappointment. The young man in front of him was arrogant and self-satisfied. This was definitely not a good thing. Indeed, the desolate country, the World Society, and the Seven-Star Hall do not have the strength to bargain with the Ancient Heavens sect. Everything in this world depends on strength. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. Then, he waved his hand. Then, purple golden electric arcs overflowed in his palm. The light was dazzling. An ancient and boundless aura spread out with a destructive overbearing aura. Finally, a small three-legged cauldron appeared on his palm. He looked at Sima Taxing Star and said, but I don't know if I can bargain with the Ancient Heavens sect with this thing. Chapter 10-12. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and waved his hand. Soon, His palm was overflowing with purple gold lightning. The light was dazzling and an ancient and boundless aura spread out with a destructive overbearing aura. In the end, a three-legged cauldron appeared in his palm. He looked at Sima Taxing and said, "But I wonder if I can bargain with the ancient heaven sect with this item?" The eyes of Sima Taxing, who was the leader of the 10 great geniuses back then, suddenly trembled as he looked at the three-legged cauldron that was overflowing with purple gold lightning arcs in Du Xiaofu's palm. A deep shock spread throughout his entire body, causing his body to immediately tremble. After which, his eyes were stunned as he looked at the three-legged cauldron in Du Xiaofu's palm. The Divine Thunder Cauldron. This is the Divine Thunder Cauldron sealed in the ancient land. Sima Taxing looked at the cauldron in Du Xiaofu's palm. The overflowing purple lightning and the overbearing aura of destruction that permeated the cauldron seemed to have seen the most shocking thing. Back then, he was the leader of the Heaven's Prides and had obtained the Divine Thunder. Gu Qingyang knew that the Divine Thunder Cauldron was on Du Xiaofu's body. However, in order to protect his beloved disciple, he did not say anything to the ancient heaven sect. "Yes, this is the Divine Thunder Cauldron. It has already recognized me as its master. It can refine everyone's body with divine thunder." A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's lips. Then, the purple thunder cauldron spun in his palm. The layer of white light around him quietly disappeared. He had just summoned the purple thunder cauldron from the ancient desolate space in his mud pill palace. Then, he put the cauldron back into the divine watchtower. He said to Sima Taxing, "I wonder if we can discuss the conditions again now." "There's no need to discuss. I can agree to your conditions on behalf of the ancient heaven sect right now. The younger generation of the world society, the 7-star hall, and the desolate country can all enter the ancient bronze space, the ancient silver space, and the ancient gold space. However, they must follow the rules of the ancient heaven sect. In addition, I can also promise you that I can let some of the old men from the desolate country, the world society, and the 7-star hall enter the 3 ancient spaces to comprehend for a while. As for our alliance in the future, the ancient heaven sect will be in charge of everything. We can also discuss it with each other. If both sides agree, then there will be a draw." Sima Taxing stared at Du Xiaofu. The shock in his eyes was hard to hide. He said, "But there is one thing. The ancient heaven sect must also share the cultivation resources of the desolate country, the world society, and the 7-star hall, including the divine thunder cauldron." "Okay, but only a few people can be chosen for the divine thunder cauldron, and they must be trustworthy." Du Xiaofu nodded without hesitation. In order to keep the news of the purple thunder cauldron a secret, he could only choose a few trustworthy people to enter the cauldron. If there were too many people, then the news of the cauldron being in his possession might be leaked. As for the divine thunder cauldron, even without the alliance, Du Xiaofu would not be stingy. In Du Xiaofu's mind, he was also a part of the ancient heaven sect. He was the ruler of the desolate country, the leader of the world society, and the young master of the 7-star hall. However, this did not affect his status as a disciple of the ancient heaven sect. "Okay, it's a deal." Sima Taxing nodded. He looked at Du Xiaofu and sternly said, "This matter has been decided. I will inform the Supreme Elder of the Manchu as soon as possible. I will also arrange for a group of disciples to enter the cauldron to obtain the divine thunder cauldron. In addition, remember to keep the news of the cauldron being in your possession a secret. Once it is leaked, the consequences will be unimaginable." "I understand." Du Xiaofu understood and nodded. "There is another matter. I'm afraid you will need to return to the desolate country immediately. There has been a lot of chaos there. Your sisters Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, the Phantom, and Ouyang Shuang have all returned to the desolate country for a while." Sima Taxing said. "The desolate country is in chaos." Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly narrowed after hearing this. His heartstrings immediately tightened. "No, it's the Stone Dragon Empire. I'm afraid it's almost completely occupied now. Your sister Du Shaoqing is afraid that something will happen to the desolate country, so she brought people back. Sima Taxing explained the general situation of the Stone Dragon Empire to Du Xiaofu and said, around the dark forest, across the central continent, across the river, and around the Million Mountains, there are a total of 8 empires of various sizes. Strictly speaking, their strength is about the same, but they all have the backing of the Heavenly Serpent sect, the Underworld sect, the Spirit Sky Valley, and the Profound Talisman sect. They really are starting to lose their patience and take action. Du Xiaofu was relieved that nothing had happened to the desolate country. However, Du Xiaofu was not surprised that the Stone Dragon Empire had taken action. It was just that Du Xiaofu was a little surprised that a total of 8 empires had taken action against the Stone Dragon Empire. It's time to go back and take a look. Du Xiaofu murmured. After asking Sima Taxing about the general situation, he decided to leave the Ancient Heavens sect early in the morning and return to the desolate country. Although the desolate country was fine, the Stone Dragon Empire had almost been occupied. Du Xiaofu could imagine how chaotic the desolate country would be, so he had to go back. Not to mention, the North Vanquishing King, East Vanquishing King, and South Vanquishing King were all in the Stone Dragon Empire. They would definitely fight to the death for the Stone Dragon Empire, which worried Du Xiaofu. After leaving Sima Taxing's place, Du Xiaofu immediately returned to his courtyard. He summoned the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron from the Divine Watchtower and entered it. Rumble, purple thunderclouds occupied the space inside the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron. The purple gold lightning converged into purple gold thunderbolts that constantly fell from the sky. The sound of thunder reverberated in the void. At that moment, there were over a dozen figures sitting cross-legged in the air. Bolts of purple gold lightning fell from the sky onto the bodies of these people, enveloping them in lightning. Lightning radiated from all over their bodies, and a terrifying aura rippled from them. As the bolts of lightning fell, purple gold lightning arcs overflowed. Then, the lightning quietly spread on the surface of the bodies of the 10 people and seeped into their bodies. Finally, it turned into energy. This is going to take a long time. This is going too far. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in the void. He waved his hand and the lightning arcs around him quietly disappeared. The rumbling thunder and lightning then dissipated. Sizzle. As the purple gold lightning dissipated, the purple gold thunderclouds and lightning arcs disappeared. In the void, the 10 figures sitting cross-legged suddenly opened their eyes. Dazzling purple gold lightning arcs surged out of their eyes and rushed into the sky. It was as if the lightning had materialized, causing the space to tremble continuously. On the surface of the bodies of the 10 people, purple lightning vaguely overflowed. In the end, it quietly disappeared. However, compared to before, there was an additional purple gold color on the bodies of the 10 people. All of them were releasing an extremely terrifying aura. At this moment, the 10 people in the void were the third senior brother Yuanli, Du Shui, Qiao Yingmeng, Mu Jiejia, Hao Bian, Mo Wen, Guzong, and the others who were brought into the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron by Du Xiaofu before entering the desolate golden ancient space. Back then, the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron was placed in the desolate golden ancient space. As Du Xiaofu immersed himself in comprehending the second stone tablet, he forgot that everyone was undergoing the divine lightning body tempering in the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron. However, once Du Xiaofu forgot, he had comprehended the stone tablet for 2 years. Everyone had been in the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron for 20 years. Others had only undergone the divine lightning body tempering for a month. But now, Yuanli, Du Shui, Qiao Yingmeng, Du, Mo Wen and the others had undergone the divine lightning body tempering for 20 years. 20 years of divine lightning body tempering. Du and Du Shui were only around 20 years old. After a while, in front of the mountain's courtyard. They're out. They're finally out. On the mountain peak, Mo Wen, Hao Bian, Kuang Niu, and the others stretched their bodies. Their bodies wriggled and purple gold lightning arcs fluctuated on their bodies. In the depths of their eyes, there was a purple gold light. They've become so strong. Du Xiaofu looked at everyone and felt the aura that was spreading out from their bodies. He was shocked. Their aura was much stronger than before. It was soaring like a rocket. Du Shui, Mo1, Hao Bian and the others had all stepped into the martial emperor realm. Coincidentally, Du Shui, Mo1, Hao Bian, Qiao Yingmeng and the others had all reached the martial emperor realm. Chapter 10-13. As for third senior brother Yuanli, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. Third senior brother Yuanli's body had been refined by the purple gold profound lightning in the purple thunder profound cauldron and had already reached the honorable realm. More importantly, these 10 people had been refined by the purple gold profound lightning in the purple thunder profound cauldron for 20 years. The amount of purple gold profound lightning in their bodies had reached a terrifying level. Their martial veins and spiritual roots had improved greatly and their physical bodies had also reached a terrifying level. Du Xiaofu released his consciousness and could feel that the physical bodies of third senior brother Yuanli, Mo1, Du, and the others had reached an unfathomable level. Each of their bodies seemed to have produced something related to the purple gold profound lightning. Du Xiaofu was unable to find out exactly how many benefits they had obtained from the purple lightning profound cauldron. Perhaps only they themselves would know the answer. The purple gold profound lightning in the purple thunder profound cauldron had refined their bodies for 20 years. All of this had happened under invisible surveillance. The divine lightning had refined their bodies and Du Xiaofu had controlled the purple gold profound lightning at a level that everyone could endure. Otherwise, in 20 years, they would not have become stronger. Instead, they would have been blasted into pieces by the purple gold profound lightning. At this moment, these 10 people had gained great benefits. However, Du Xiaofu did not dare to casually put them into the purple thunder profound cauldron for another 10 years. Not everyone would gain more benefits the longer they stayed in the purple thunder profound cauldron. Everyone was fine. Du Xiaofu then went to Heaven Eye Peak to meet his master, Gu Qingyang, and first senior brother, Jian Santong, late at night. I am at fault. Please forgive me, first senior brother. Du Xiaofu only just found out that when he had awakened, he had almost killed first senior brother. He hurriedly bowed and apologized. When he had awakened, Du Xiaofu was also surprised. He seemed to have felt something. There was an invisible sadness that penetrated his heart and he could not help but wake up. His whole person also fell into a special state of confusion. In the end, he did not even know that he had attacked first senior brother. Little junior brother didn't do it on purpose. What crime did I commit? On the other hand, little junior brother's reputation is well deserved. Your strength makes me feel ashamed. Jian Santong bitterly smiled. Looking at his junior brother before him, his eyes were full of shock. Xiaofu, are you going back early in the morning? Gu Qingyang asked Du Xiaofu. He was well aware of the current situation in the Stone Dragon Empire. He also knew that Du Xiaofu was worried about the desolate country. Yes. Du Xiaofu nodded and told his master, Gu Qingyang, about the alliance with the ancient sky sect. The divine lightning cauldron is with junior brother. Everyone can use the divine lightning to refine their bodies. When Jian Santong heard this, he was still in shock. His old face was like a wooden chicken. He had never thought that the divine lightning cauldron that countless people were looking for in the sealed ancient land a few years ago had already fallen into the hands of his junior brother. That's good. For now, it's beneficial to you. The world will probably fall into chaos. The desolate country and the 7-star hall will have no one to rely on. The ancient sky sect will be able to advance and retreat together. Elder Gu Qingyang put away his usual disrespect and said seriously, the divine lightning cauldron in the purple lightning cauldron is too important to the ancient sky sect. When Du Xiaofu was about to leave Tianmu Peak, it was already early in the morning. The darkness before dawn had just passed, and the first ray of sunlight rose from the horizon. The golden morning light shone on the peaks of the ancient sky sect. On Tianmu Peak, there were no less than 300 people descending. They were dozens of elders of the ancient sky sect, and more than 200 of the most talented disciples in the ancient sky sect. They were also the most trusted disciples of the younger generation. Hao Zongwei, Hu Sankuan, Yan Mingze, and the other elders, Xiang Ling, Shui Ruhan, Yin Machen, Si Ruofeng, Ji Aoming, and the others were all among them. There were also dozens of elders. When Du Xiaofu looked at them, he found that they were actually more than a dozen venerable experts. Their cultivation auras were not ordinary venerable realm experts. However, Sima Muhan had already left the ancient sky sect. Du Xiaofu learned from Sima Taxing last night that Sima Muhan had been summoned by her mother and had gone to her grandmother's house to cultivate in seclusion. Everyone gathered on Tianmu Peak. They had all been summoned in a hurry. There was even the sect master personally leading the group. This surprised Si Ruofeng and the others, but they all stood quietly, not daring to ask. On the other hand, the dozen or so venerable experts seemed to know what was going on, but their eyes were secretly filled with shock. From Sima Taxing's introduction, Du Xiaofu learned that the dozen or so extraordinary venerable realm experts were all elders of the ancient sky sect. Some of them were even more senior than his master, Gu Qingyang. The rest were almost the same generation as his master, Gu Qingyang. Greetings, Grand Master Golden Rock. The leader of the dozen or so extraordinary venerable realm elders was Venerable Golden Rock, whom Du Xiaofu had already met. Back then, Venerable Golden Rock was extremely talented and famous in the central continent. However, he was focused on cultivating in seclusion and did not step into the sealed ancient land. Therefore, he did not receive the divine lightning body refinement. Good boy. Venerable Golden Rock nodded and looked at Du Xiaofu. His golden eyes were filled with admiration. Xiaofu, these people can be trusted. When you return to the desolate country this time, you might do something. They can also be considered as a force that you can use. You can discuss everything with Grand Master Golden Rock, Sima Taxing said to Du Xiaofu seriously. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly and nodded. The ancient sky sect was really fast. In just a few hours, they had already prepared so many people to enter the Purple Thunder Cauldron to receive the divine lightning body refinement. Du Xiaofu did not say anything more as he was in a hurry to return to the desolate country. He then called out the Purple Thunder Cauldron in front of everyone's stunned gazes. He had everyone enter the Purple Thunder Cauldron one by one. Of course, in order to make up for his apology to first senior brother and destroy his extraordinary ancient sword, Du Xiaofu naturally wanted to invite first senior brother to enter the Purple Thunder Cauldron to receive the divine lightning body refinement. In fact, the 9 major powers have always wanted to get their hands on the area across the central continent, including our ancient sky sect. However, there has never been a suitable opportunity. The Profound Talisman sect and the Sky Serpent sect have already infiltrated the area. They have been restraining each other and have not had a suitable opportunity to take control. Sima Taxing finally looked at Du Xiaofu and sternly said, "Rumor has it that the area across the central continent has some history. The Sky Martial Academy in the Dark Forest has always been mysterious. At this moment, the Stone Dragon Empire should be almost completely occupied. If you want to do anything when you go back, you can do it without worry. The world is about to fall into chaos. I'm afraid that the Sky Serpent sect and the others will want to get their hands on that area and won't have the energy to care about it. This is the best time, but try not to expose your Purple Thunder Cauldron." The Purple Thunder Cauldron was too important. This time, the ancient sky sect had sent Venerable Golden Peng and a dozen extraordinary sovereigns to accompany him. The divine lightning body refinement was one of the reasons why the ancient sky sect wanted to protect the Purple Thunder Cauldron. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. There was a slight fluctuation in the depths of his eyes. He then nodded and did not say anything. After bidding farewell to his master and third senior brother, Du Xiaofu got on one of the ancient sky sect's flying lion mounts and was ready to leave. Accompanying him were Du Yu, Du Shui, Gu Zong, Xiao Yingmeng, Mo Wen, Feng Xiangyu, and a dozen others who came out of the Purple Thunder Cauldron. They were all disciples of the ancient Heaven Sex World Society. Not only were they members of the ancient Heaven Sex World Society, but they had also joined the World Society for a long time. Guzong was even the Hall Master of the World Society's Scarlet Fire Hall. Roar! Everyone left on the flying demon beast. The demon lion flapped its wings and disappeared into the void with a huge storm. This brat even poached the ancient Sky Sex disciples. Looks like we have to be careful in the future. Sima taking Xing muttered as he watched the disappearing figure. How could Sima Ta Xing not know that Mu Jiejia, Mo Wen, Judge Hao, Guzong, and other extraordinary sovereigns had joined the World Society? Especially when he felt that the aura of Mo Wen and the others had strengthened so much in such a short time. It was not much weaker than Shenling, Shui Ruhan, and the others. It was almost as strong as Yin Machen, Si Ruofeng, and the others. It might even be a little stronger. This made Sima Ta Xing's heart ache. Sect Master, if they want to join the World Society, then let them. In any case, they're disciples of my ancient Heaven sect. Don't forget that Brat Du Xiaofu is also a disciple of my ancient Heaven sect, said Enforcer Hao with a faint smile. Chapter 1014. Yes, even that kid is a disciple of the ancient Heaven sect. Sima Ta Xing smiled slightly, and then a complicated look flashed through his eyes. He said softly, it's just that that kid is indifferent to the position of sect master of the ancient Heaven sect. It seems that the entire ancient Heaven sect is not enough to fill his heart. The world will be in chaos. Maybe he can really make a name for himself. After leaving the ancient Heaven sect, Du Xiaofu moved the purple lightning profound cauldron into the desolate ancient space again. Then, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged on the demon lion's back. He pondered for a while and began to meditate. He had just broken through and needed to stabilize his cultivation. After a while, Du Xiaofu's body was covered in golden light. He was meditating and comprehending the weapon Dao that he had comprehended from the second stone tablet. The Stone Dragon Empire was invaded by the armies of 8 countries. Although they had the support of several old kings, they were still forced to retreat. Fortunately, the general and Gu Xinyan returned. They managed to hold the Stone Dragon Empire back until now. The armies of the 8 empires attacked from all directions. Compared to the 3 empires that had joined forces, their strength was undoubtedly much stronger. Among the 8 countries, there were 1 valley, 2 churches, 3 sects, 3 schools, and 9 major forces. Even the general couldn't hold on. If the 8 countries didn't seem to have some scruples, they would have conquered the Stone Dragon Empire long ago. However, they couldn't hold on any longer. The armies of 8 countries finally captured Dragon City. The final battle took place outside the fierce Tiger Gorge. Countless armies killed each other. The intensity of the battle paled in comparison to the desolate country's attack on the Stone Dragon Empire. It was said that the battle lasted for a day and a night. Blood gathered into a lake and dyed the mountains into a blood island. The blood-red mist and evil aura hovered above Dragon City for 3 days and 3 nights without dissipating. In that battle, countless warriors and the last army of the Stone Dragon Empire fell. Their mournful cries resounded through the 9 heavens. It was also said that the clansmen of the Du household appeared in the final battle. The people of the Du household were guarding the imperial capital, Dragon City, but they were powerless to stop anything. Instead, they lost many people. Finally, under the escort of several cultivators who were not weak, the Du Palace's clansmen retreated, their whereabouts once again unknown. Dragon City was finally conquered. Wherever the army passed, they plundered and plundered. It was not unusual for them to burn, kill, and plunder. This caused the people of the huge Dragon City to panic, and countless people thought of ways to escape. Some forces immediately attached themselves to the 8 countries and helped them commit their crimes. After that battle, the Stone Dragon Empire truly ceased to exist. The armies of the 8 nations captured the imperial capital, Dragon City. The entire Stone Dragon Empire fell into the hands of the 8 nations. Our Stone Dragon Empire has existed for thousands of years. Our destiny has finally run out. The entire country was occupied. There were old people who cried, and there were young people who clenched their fists. But all of this was already too late to reverse the situation. Where's our brave god king? Why hasn't he appeared? Why is the desolate country not willing to send their troops? If the desolate country was willing to send their troops, they would not have to fear the armies of the 8 countries. Is the brave god king really that heartless? You don't know. The brave god king isn't even in the desolate country. He doesn't know anything about this. The brave god king had no interest in the Stone Dragon Empire. He didn't want to become the emperor of the Stone Dragon Empire. At least the desolate country has been taking in refugees, providing them with food, water, and medicine. They have already taken good care of the Stone Dragon Empire. Countless people have been protected. Some people cried. The brave god king, the last hope of the Stone Dragon Empire, did not appear at the last moment. This made people feel sad and resentful. There were also people who were grateful. After all, the desolate country's actions had already spread throughout the Stone Dragon Empire. If it wasn't for the desolate country's protection, who knew how many innocent people would have suffered? The desolate country, from the dark forest to the edge of the Lanling Prefecture city and even the edge of the barbaric Beast Mountain range, was already filled with people. In 2 years, countless refugees from the Stone Dragon Empire had flooded in. Countless forces had moved to the desolate country, and a new round of city construction had begun. However, the Stone City had always been closed. Other than the residents of the Stone City, no one was allowed to enter. However, the surroundings of the Stone City had changed drastically. The surrounding buildings were tall and connected to the barbaric Beast Mountain range. The small Stone City had now become a huge city. Destroyed, it's still destroyed. Blood flowed like a river. In the main hall of the Du family, Du Zhixiong and Du Zhenwu's eyes dimmed. At this moment, the core members of the World Society and the Du family were in the main hall of the Du family. How are the old kings? After a while, Du Zhenwu asked Du Yunlong, who was in the main hall. The old kings are seriously injured and are still grieving. If it wasn't for the general and the others who brought them back, I'm afraid the old kings would have died for the Stone Dragon Empire. Du Yunlong said. His eyes were filled with respect for the old kings. The old kings had sacrificed themselves for the Stone Dragon Empire. They were so unyielding and loyal that people couldn't help but respect them. If it wasn't for the general and Gu Xinyan who brought them back to the desolate country, the old kings would have died. In the main hall, Du Shaoqing was leaning on a chair in the main hall. She suddenly stood up and sat down. Her ethereal eyes rippled a little before a smile appeared on her face. Beside Du Shaoqing, a little golden macaque was leaning lazily on a chair. The hair on its head was colorful and the aura it exuded was like a supreme being. Its pale golden eyes looked at the people in the main hall and said, Du Xiaofu is back. Hearing this, the people in the main hall were shocked. No one doubted the little golden macaque's words. Figures immediately rushed out of the main hall. Roar! After a while, outside the Du family, a huge lion demon flapped its wings and flew over. The young man in the lead was wearing a purple robe and his hair fluttered in the wind. The Rock Emperor is back. Soon, the entire Stone City was in an uproar. The news of the Rock Emperor's return spread throughout the desolate country. Destroyed. Is the Stone Dragon Empire finally destroyed? In the main hall of the Du family, Du Xiaofu clenched his fists tightly after hearing the news of the Stone Dragon Empire's destruction half a month ago. His eyes were filled with a complicated expression. In the main hall, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Mysterious Wyrm King, Mu Mingqing, third fatty Wan, silver-winged demonic condor, solitary sword king, Li Shui, Murong Yorua, and the others all looked at Du Xiaofu, waiting for Du Xiaofu to say something. Where are Brother Qing Chun and Elder Yi? Du Xiaofu swept his gaze across the main hall and asked everyone. He didn't see Big Brother Jin Qing Chun or Medicine King Yi Wuming. Brother Qing Chun and Yi Wuming are both in seclusion, Du Xiaoqing said to Du Xiaofu. I'll go check on the old kings first. You can all leave. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything and left the main hall. Murong Yorua and Li Shui glanced at each other as they watched Du Xiaofu leave. They understood each other's intentions and left the main hall. It's about time. Let's start the arrangements. Murong Yorua said to Li Shui as she looked up at the sky in the corridor. Sister Yorua, do you really want to do this? Li Shui looked at Murong Yorua worriedly and said, what if the president, someone has to bear the responsibility? Someone has to do something. That person is me. Murong Yorua interrupted Li Shui and smiled, you know what we're doing the most, so you should know that we have to do this. You have to help look after him in the future. Li Shui didn't say anything else. She nodded and left. The old kings were arranged to stay in a side courtyard of the Du family. When Du Xiaofu appeared in the side courtyard, he saw the generals, Gu Xinyan, Guo Xiaofeng, Wu Kei, Ghost Child, Ouyang Shuang, and the others who were waiting for the old kings. They had just heard the news of Du Xiaofu's return from the Du family's disciples. Therefore, when they saw Du Xiaofu, the generals were not surprised. Instead, they all looked happy. The old kings are grieving. We couldn't stop worrying, so we had to keep watching. Perhaps they will listen to you. Gu Xinyan said to Du Xiaofu. In her beautiful eyes, the light fluctuated slightly, causing ripples in the hearts of those who looked at it. It's good that you're back. My grandfather and the others won't listen to us. Ouyang Shuang frowned slightly and said to Du Xiaofu. I'll go check on the old kings. Du Xiaofu nodded and took a deep breath. There seemed to be a complicated look in his eyes. Then, he walked into the hall. In the side courtyard, the north vanquishing prince, the south vanquishing prince, the east vanquishing prince, and the west vanquishing prince were all there. There were also Ouyang Ling and some other kings and generals. There were more than 20 people. They were the last remaining powerhouses of the Stone Dragon Empire. Seeing Du Xiaofu, Yuan Shanshan greeted him. She was like a loving mother, carefully sizing up Du Xiaofu. Xiaofu, you're finally back. I heard that you've been meditating in the ancient heaven sect. Aunt Shan, Uncle Ling, Du Xiaofu smiled at Yuan Shanshan and Ouyang Ling. Then, his eyes swept across the hall. Xiaofu, you're back. Everyone in the hall stood up. The north vanquishing prince, the south vanquishing prince, and the east vanquishing prince stepped forward. The grief on their pale faces couldn't be concealed. Their eyes were bloodshot. They hadn't changed out of their armor. It was stained with blood, and their hair was slightly messy. Grandpa Xia, greetings to the old kings. Du Xiaofu bowed. Looking at the north vanquishing prince and the others, he could clearly understand how the Stone Dragon Empire was destroyed. These old kings who were loyal to the Stone Dragon Empire were heartbroken. If back then, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. Guilt rose in his heart. He even found it difficult to face the old king who had protected him back then. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.